Welcome to the Hawk's Nest live stream show. My name is Brandon Kane, and I do appreciate you for tuning on in. It's got a little bit of bonus wild card weekend coverage. You'd like to be scouting out ahead of teams that you can be in the NFC. Granted, keep an eye on them, see what they're doing, kind of maybe do a little advanced scouting as to what we're going to need to do when we face them, albeit it does look like we might be facing some very familiar foes up here in Seattle if things fit to form. But then also it might help for us to kind of keep a little bit of an eye now over here on this AFC. I'm not one to get a little overconfident, feel myself a little bit too much. But, perhaps we need to do a little bit of some advanced scouting in some other directions as well. So I'm coming at you today, hoping to see a great game because last night's was a snoozer. We got Texans, Steelers, wild card coverage, DK back over with a new team, Aaron Rodgers, and maybe what will be his last gasp. And we'll see how this thing goes. I thank you guys for tuning in tonight, though. And for all of you guys for tuning in throughout the weekend. We had just a great amount of showing out for not having a Hawk game. You guys were rocking right there with me as we were checking out some of these games. And I really appreciate everybody for coming on in. We got a bunch of new subscribers in the house as well, too. And really digging all of that. So thank you to all of you guys that both subbed up, watched, hit the like button, did all that good stuff this past weekend. As you are awesome as ever in that way. Before we get over to you guys here in the chat and start our coverage of this game, we'll be doing some play-by-play tonight, folks. A quick thank you and shout out to the sponsor of the show. The sponsor of the show, of course, is Sleeper. Sleeper is the number one sports app running in the game today. You got a lot of options. You got a lot of places you can pick and choose from. But for my money, this one is the best one, and they just happen to also be sponsoring the channel at the same time. Love the different options that they provide. Every single time you go on there, for my times that I go in to look to make picks, I've got some kind of boost I can apply, like the 17%er I'm throwing on in there today right now. And if you use my code NEST, they'll match you up to 100%. First deposit to $100. $100 for me to you through the app. And then there's also a free $20. Just create a login. Don't have to put any deposit in there whatsoever. Just a login, $20 into your account. So $120 from me to you through the Sleeper app. And they've got some really great picks out there for the playoffs as it goes right now. You see tonight I've got kind of reaching a little bit more for the low hanging fruit tonight. So I'm going for Woody Marks with over 9.5 receiving yards, Higgins with over 30.5 receptions, and then also Jalen Warren with over 12.5 receptions. So you can see I'm looking at the backs maybe being featured a little bit. I think in the playoffs it lends itself more backs being utilized a little bit more out of the backfield, as at times you're just trying to manufacture offenses and they become kind of de facto run plays. And then I've got Higgins, the rookie there for the Texans, going over 30.5 receiving yards because I think the Steelers will probably try to take away as much as they can Nico tonight for the Houston Texans. This is going to be a fun matchup, but please do utilize my code today. Thank you to Sleeper for sponsoring the show. Terms and conditions do apply. Please see their site there for details. Hope everyone's having a great night, feeling good after the bye week. Certainly the energy's in a great place as I see it. I felt like the 12s had a good, quiet confidence kind of rolling about them here, which was cool. Just feeling that. See how we go tonight. Talk a little bit anywhere, which way you want to go. Been getting into the prospects here in this upcoming draft. So probably I'm just about to scratch 100 here. About 100 deep here. Got a Senior Bowl that I'm going to be prepping for. So we may have our Seattle Seahawks in that bye week to the Super Bowl. And I might be out there at the Senior Bowl with Dan and Bryce. So we'll have to just see how that goes. But indeed, got some prospects we can start to talk about if you guys want to on that. With all the bowl games wrapped up now, we've got the season's conclusion on these prospects. But of course, tonight we've also got a game afoot. And hopefully this holds to what we got to see this past weekend. We're going to see a nice close game come down to the wire. Steelers playing at home. They're going to receive the opening kickoff. Ooh. Jalen Warren received this kickoff, and he's doing the backpedal thing into the end zone, and it's on the fly. And he sort of looks like he receives the ball at almost about the half-yard line, but I guess it was very close. That was very close. Misfit says David Lombardi's already dropping pre-cope on his timeline. He got flamed so hard yesterday, and it was so good to see because it's just exactly the stuff that drives why you hear so many of us kind of bang on him at times. Where it's just like, dude, we're just making stuff up, right? Handoff inside here to Jalen Warren. Downhill run right through the B gap, and he's able to climb his way for a 10-yard gain here right out the jump for the Steelers. They're going to try to feature the run game today. There's no doubt about it. He was trying to say the Steelers fans were up and applauding. They were applauding the injury of Kittle. They were cheering on the injury of Kittle. They were wishing his children and his wife never breathe another breath. These Philly fans. And then it's like, no, they're actually like applauding as they got him off the field. They were being pretty like respectful, like, bro, you know what I mean? Shotgun look here. Play clock winding down. They're going to get out here to DK Metcalf. He's going to run it hard to bring down DK in the open field when he's got a head of steam there, and he's able to, on a bubble screen, go get himself 20 yards. Nice play call there. Get your guys been out for a couple of days, a couple games, a little bit of rust. Get him a nice little manufactured touch here. Really well blocked up by the Steelers. DK able to squeeze between a little hole there. There's things you can certainly take advantage of in the playoffs from two different kind of things. Both one aids the offense, one aids the defense, but watching the playoffs, this does stand out to me. Handoff inside here. Warren tries to wind his way back outside, and he's cut down by Stingley. There's two real main things I see, though, where you have blocking, and not just offensive linemen, but just blocking in particular, very loose fitting to the penalties called once the offensive players get their hands wide and out around the jerseys. It feels like they're kind of letting them do more of that stuff here in the playoffs, which not a surprise. And then, of course, physical coverage in the secondary. You're seeing that across the board as well. 2nd down and 9 here. Aaron in shotgun. He's got 3 wide. And they try another handoff inside here for about 2 or 3 yards. Trying to keep themselves into not the position they're in right now here with that play calling from Arthur Smith. It's very conservative, probably drives Steeler fans crazy, but he is going to try to want to stay out of these 3rd and longs with Aaron. And as we got to see with our Seahawks in the pass rush they could generate against the Steelers offensive line, that they can be vulnerable there a little bit. Reed, defensive back there for the Texans, is standing, but a little gimpy on his foot. Zach Mucus, how you doing? Good to see you, Ben. Let's go Texans. I'll never forgive Steelers for Super Bowl XL and Russ. Dogs like, go Hawks, Nesters. There you go, Hawks. That was a very funny, Ben. Very good. Well played. Travis has got money on the Texans. They better win. Bottom line is that even though they're on the road, they've been the better team this year, right? They've looked like the more scarier team this year, right? 3rd and 7. Aaron in shotgun. Texans threatening a blitz. Aaron's going to pull the back out there and then try to throw it out there to him. Aaron's already cussing out the running back. 4 plays in. Aaron's a boiling pot. Trying to figure out what he was so mad about there. So Aaron gets the blitz from the inside linebacker, and his counter to that is to send the running back out sort of like into an H-back positioning or a slot. And that then forces the linebacker to have to get back. I don't know if that took him out of the blitz or not, because that then forced the linebacker to have to go out there and stay in coverage on that guy. Otherwise, he was going to run free up the field. And then that same player runs an out route. And then Aaron Rodgers is super pissed off at him for some reason about the out route he's running there, or that the only thing I can think of is that he wanted him to climb and get more depth. But freaking Aaron threw that thing so quickly too. I mean, if you threw it that fast on me climbing the route short, then maybe the chat will have a bit of a perspective on that one I don't get. Alex, how you doing? Phoebe, hello. Brian, what's up? This will be another one-score game. I can see it going down like that too. Yes, sir. It is on ESPN tonight, Dogzilla. Thank you for letting people know on that. It's always a little bit of a where's Waldo when it comes to finding where these games are at and played sometimes. Consumer hope DK plays well. Me too, man. A little redemption arc here for DK. Yeah, see? Pumpkin likes this thought of that too. She's way with that. See? Hawks. Hawk, feed me more. Thank you for the $5 donation. He says, I was on Jake's channel earlier. What is with everyone crying about Niners playing on Saturday? The Bills are going through the same thing. Earn the number 1 seed next time. Yeah, I get the complaint at play in certain degrees where people are coming from on this feed me. So I'm not, completely deaf to the how this is not very fair to the teams that this is happening to. And should it all be played on just the one day? Should it just be the teams that then played on the Sunday and Monday have to then play? I don't know. It gets complicated a little bit on this, I guess, on how you try to force that one in. And eventually you're going to end up on the road of this anyway in a position of, if you're playing Saturdays and Sundays, somebody could end up having like all the teams on. I get where again, I get a little bit on this. I'm kind of struggling with this one because a little bit on this, I get it. But then at the same point, I do come down to your bottom line on this, which is that I go, well, yeah, but look, this isn't necessarily everything's fair for everybody equal on this. And to your point, this is the power of the 1 seed. And this is the power of having earned that spot, is that, yeah, you get an easier path like the number 1. I mean, the number 1 seed and really in theory isn't fair at all. You get a whole round. You don't have to play. That's the height of unfairness right there. You don't even have to play a game. Not even the worst opponent, just no game. Just none. 2nd and 5 here for CJ and company. Sorry, I was looking down there. Got a little run with Woody Marks on the first carry. CJ dropping back to throw. That ball's tipped up. Ooh, tipped up almost into danger, then tipped up almost received. Nico Collins writhing on the turf after that play for a second. Don't know what was going on with him there. Oh. May not have been a concussion. Hand kind of raked across the face there on Nico. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if he had like his eye poked or something. That thing was flying in there. 3rd down and 5. Ball on the 15-yard line. Shotgun look. 2 wide receivers to the far side of the field. CJ dropping back to throw. Climbs the pocket. Layers a ball up over the top. And he's got Christian Kirk, for a first down. What a beautiful throw there by CJ Stroud. Gets a couple steps up in the pocket there. Who did he get it? A little bobble there by Christian. Boom, boom, boom. Well, there's a little bobble there by Christian, but I think he was able to turn his body underneath him to make sure it was secured. Big time play. Puts him onto the Steelers side of the football field at the 49-yard line. Handoff into Chubb here. He runs into a wall of Steelers, or a curtain. And that'll be a short gain. So I come down to the same place on this feed me. If they're going to be the NFL wants to have Saturday games and that this is sort of the standard, and all this kind of breaks down to like somebody's going to have to get the short end of the shiv on that. You don't want it to be a team that's got the number 1 seed. And so I not that you give it's having them play on Sunday would be the short end of the shiv or anything. Don't get me wrong there. But I come down to that as the bottom line. I hear the worries on it, but it will be a factor. Shanahan wouldn't have said it was a factor if it wasn't. Shotgun look here, 2nd and 8. Handoff inside to Woody Marks. He is going to be caught and pulled down for a short gain. But yes. Earn it next year. Then you don't have to cry, but then you can sit on your couch and enjoy the fruits. Does suck for him. I get it. I'd be mad about it too if I was a Niner fan. So I won't undersell that. Mick says, man, Brando, another stream. Let's go. 3rd down and 6. Steelers just showing their front 4 here. Weird snap. Don't know what happened there. Looks like the Texans took a timeout to avoid a delay of game penalty. Yeah, it looked like that's why I thought he shorted the route a little bit to me too. And that's maybe the place where Aaron was so mad. Definitely not a good route, that's for sure. How you doing, Corey? Hand grenade, what's up? Herbicide, Oli, Tristan. Says Texans. Steelers cheated. Y'all ain't wrong. He says, y'all was watching Cowherd on the YouTube. He says, excuse me. Stroud drops back to throw on 3rd and 6. We got a penalty marker. Maybe a false start here. There might be some rust. I mean, there might be. I don't think it lingers all game, and maybe it's on a first drive, or maybe it's a little bit there with the offense to a degree. We'll see. These kind of games can go, I think, so many different ways. I think it is like Mike said today. There's a 99.9% chance the game's going to play differently than the first game played. You don't tend to see just sort of the same result within, much in the way that the first game was a much different game. Jordan is right. You will get scurvy if you don't hit the like button on this video. And just go ask a pirate from the 1700s. Stroud again trying to climb the pocket here on 3rd and long, and he ends up climbing right into the arms of a Steeler defensive lineman, forced to then throw it late and just kind of throw it away there to avoid the sack. Steelers defense holding up strong despite the big play. Coca says, I think the next PFP might be the GOAT, Brandon. PVP. What's PVP? I'm an old head. I don't know all these little acronyms. This punt's going to go out of bounds. Those officials go up that sideline when the punt goes out of bounds. They just keep going up and up. There's nothing more frustrating when it's your team that punted out of bounds, and you're like, "Really? Really? You knew it flew out of bounds way up there, huh? Really?" It's like he's running 20 yards up the end line. What's up, Kitty Cat? Profile there. Thinking the next profile picture might be the go, Brandon. That's not a bad one to go with. It's not a bad one. I like it, Kogan. I gotta get you a couple of true transparent images on that though, so you don't get the background with it. Aggravated B, I was in Jesse's chat after they won, and they said they're going to take away the running game for us and force Sam to throw the ball. I immediately thought, what guys are you going to use to stop the run? Yeah, that might be a bit of my question as well. It does indeed. There is like a little bit of minor talk, and of course, Lombardi's gassing this one up, so you know it's true, about the potentiality of him coming back this week. But it does seem like they're going to be careful with him, and I think from a Niner perspective too, you got to think that you just saw Kittle go down, and he's gone next year. Can you imagine the look if you bring out Warner and he's not 100%, and then he goes down for another a whole season with an injury that now is even worse, or if he's good to go, he's good to go. But there still seems to be a week on that one. But yeah, I mean, they're not a team, number one, that tends to want to load the box. So that kind of makes it problematic in stopping the run if you're going to do everything from behind. I know that they're hitching their wagons to a little bit that I guess Siegel, the safety out there who replaces J.R. Brown, they feel like he's better, and they think the linebackers this and that. Well, we'll see. I certainly think that we're probably going to have to run the ball a little bit or throw the ball a little bit more than we had to in the last game. But I don't think that that's necessarily going to be just because they take away the run game, just because there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the passing attack against the Niners too. So the thing is, they can start talking about how they're going to stop the run, which they haven't proven. They haven't really proven that yet. They did a good enough job on Saquon, but again, that's what that Eagles team's been this year so far, right? Saquon, I think, came out of the game with 4.1 yard per carry average, and that's been what Saquon's been in totality this season. So it's where it comes down to playoff football can be different and weird and wild and woolly. Play action pass rolling to his left as Rodgers sets up, back across his body to DK. DK with a full head of steam will get clipped down after another nice gain. There you go, DK. There you go, DK. But you start loading up to stop the run, and you don't have good secondary in the back end. And what you are in the playoffs is going to be what you were in the regular season. You don't just turn it on like it's a button, something that you build to become. And so the Eagles being a 4.1 yard per carry average team on Saquon's carries this year, and that holding to form into this playoffs, it is a good performance by the Niners. I ain't taking away from that. And that's got to be, we got a PI here. Lassiter on Metcalf. Metcalf running a 9 route, and Lassiter pulling and yanking. He was in press coverage, which already was going to put him into a predicament here. Hand on shoulder, hand around waist. And to me, that's, as I talked about earlier on that's the one where hand around waist thing. You can let them play physical as they will in the playoffs with the secondaries, but hands to waist thing gets a little bit egregious. It's not just one hand on one hip. When you dip, he dips, he dips. I'm talking the two hands on the two hips. The full-on control from the pelvis thing technique. I don't even know what do you call that to the Texans. What is the technique there as a corner? It's like, okay, if you're going to panic and they're going to get you, just grab them by our waist, right around the waist. It must be just involuntary. Interesting story here. Texans look like they're kind of down that corner. He's not Stingley, not Petrie, not Lassiter. Oh, you're not going that way. 6-yard run here on first down. Coming back on second now. Hard count from Rodgers. Gainwell sidesteps. Cuts back. Across the grain and able to shoot forward for a nice little gain there. 7:19 to go here in the first quarter. No score. Steelers here on their second drive of the game. And Steelers getting some push up front on this Texans team. I think somebody props to somebody in my chat a couple weeks back with Texans. We were talking about them. About maybe the impact of Tim Settle not being in there as a defensive tackle. I think he's on IR. Rodgers tries to throw a skinny fade here out to Jonnu Smith, and Jonnu Smith doesn't get his head back around for the ball. Rodgers is just, with every receiver outside of Green Bay that he's played with, New York and here, it must be that he needs like those 3,000 practice reps for every individual receiver to get him onto that just exacting land, exacting spot of where we're right on that same page. You see a lot of that with him where he's exasperated because he just can't get him to go and do the route adjustment he's looking for. Goes back to the 9 route here and throws it to Nowheresville. And he's laughing. His receiver got pushed out of bounds. Texans leaning into that physical coverage here. And the officials, it's where we got to be careful with trying to complain about this upcoming week and this upcoming game. And that is more or less complaining about it and more of a preparation for it. Because they will let you get after it in the playoffs. They don't want the officiating to be the determiner of these games. Got to have that slashing technique as a receiver. You know, that tomahawk chop, that Cliff Averill chop. Quick throw here on an out route. Completed to Washington for a gain of about 8. Okay. Yeah, Jair Brown is going to be out for the Niners. Sounds like a pretty significant hamstring injury. And so you will get Siegel out there. Siegel was out there, I think, in the first game of the year, too. Or maybe, yeah, it was him and Jair, I think, in the first game. They have Mustafa back out there, of course, though, too. He's pretty solid. 4th and 3 field goal attempt is up and through. 6:02 to go over the first quarter. Steelers take a 3-0 lead. Yeah, Misfit Trent Brown's getting some wild early jumps. I noticed that as well. He's got that. Who's that freaking guy on the Chiefs that does that all the time? Those guys. It's like they're go over to the officials before every game, and it looks like a honey for you, a honey for you, a honey for you. Jordan Stroud playing 10s right now. Playoff football's tough, man. The nerves are a real thing. And it gets heightened the more you go along through this process. You can feel it. It's palpable. Chosen says, Brandon, earlier in the season, we were talking about how the running game would improve. You said the lanes would open up with Shaheed. Is that the case, or is it because the line is playing better? Definitely to fight the urge, taking a victory lap on that one, but I can't fully because it's a part of it. What's happened, in my opinion, really by and large, is 2 different factors. Now, Shaheed, to the one factor, could be that big driving force a bit there, Chosen, because it did happen at the same time. But I think that this thing that happened was also something that was an adjustment to what was going down through the early part of the year with the passing attack. Teams came into this season and they said, okay, we're going to load up to stop the run. When we face Seattle, we don't know what we get with Kubiak, but this personnel, DK gone, Geno gone, Sam here anew, Clint coming in here anew, we're going to take away the run game and force them to beat us throwing the football. And not just that, we're going to blitz them heavy. And then they saw the Seattle Seahawks condensed splits and they go, oh, now we're really going to stack the boxes. Now we're really going to blitz. This, of course, opened up a lot of deep throws down the field for us to be able to attack with a lot of space down the field, giving Sam a lot of opportunity to just kind of air it out, throw it out there, let JSN run underneath. And a lot of other big plays, Horton too as well. And then teams got halfway into the year and they went, okay. Now, Shaheed comes on at the same point in time, but there is a transition away from stacked boxes to the cover 2 shell. There is just a little bit less congestion down around the line of scrimmage. Now, as this does occur, you also are seeing better blocks. And I think the offensive line's gotten bit by bit maybe better in the run blocking game. But I would say, too, you're getting some better blocks to some of the from tight ends to the out there off the edges with the receivers. You're getting some really key blocks in there as well. And it's kind of all combining together. I think that Shaheed is respected in the league as far as his speed goes. And I'll replay you a play here in a second, chosen when we get to the commercial on this, because I think it's a great topic, about a play that I think I'm going to see coming this week. I'm going to make a prodigal, no, that's not the right word. I'm going to make a prophetic prediction about a play that's going to come in this week, in my opinion, and we'll see if I can land this one. I almost don't want to do it because I don't want to show the hand of the team what they could be doing here, because they got to be seeing this on tape too. But it's interesting, and it's not like 49ers would be watching my channel. It's not like they're going to get this word out, right? All right, we got 1st and 10 here for Stroud and company coming back out near. And now after the kick, they're at the 26-yard line. Stroud pumping, and he's able to deliver the ball in there to Nico Collins, who seems to be okay after having his eye nearly pulled out of his skull earlier. Using the pluck method. You ever watch Kill Bill? That's the sound it makes. Ooh, Steelers probably going to need to challenge this one. Okay, maybe we're not going to challenge it. Why don't we challenge that? Did everybody else see the replay I saw? That was full on. That was. Okay. Interesting. Maybe it was just such a short gain. He's like, I don't want to blow a challenge flag on that. Handoff, off tackle here on 3rd and 1, and Watt's able to make the play. I agree, Nick. It'll never even be a complaint about a Seahawks catch thing. It's like, even watching the playoffs, I don't mean it like to be a smug or, I literally still am not entirely sure of what is in the catch. I don't know. And maybe I get with Tomlin. He doesn't want to, you want to throw one of your early challenge flags here in the first quarter on a play where you're going to get 6 yards back. Handoff, off tackle, run here to Woody Marks. Well defended. Queen in on the tackle there. Collecting up. Definitely have no idea. George Kittle, Hall of Fame. If he retired today, essentially, would be what you're saying. A short gain here for the Texans, 3rd and 3. Third down, 3, shotgun look, trips to the far side of the field. Press coverage to the near. They come over the top and then breaking route. Looks like a catch. Looks like both players are fighting through. Kind of looks like a simultaneous catch thing there. It'll go to the offense. Oof. He took some time to bring that ball in, even in slow motion. Like seeing him look at the thing and then flea flicker, the ugliest flea flicker you've ever seen in your life, and he's going to get strip sacked. That was awful. What was the running back doing? Oh no. Oh. Sorry. That was the worst looking flea flicker I've ever seen in my life. Oh. Oh. That's a clunky ass flea flicker. That is the ugly circus show flea flicker I've ever seen in my life. You got to kind of dirt it up as a back once you get deep in. They didn't even show the replay what exactly the back was going through there. He was in a struggle mode just to get the pitch back to Stroud. Poor Stroud's sitting back there. Stroud's sitting back there like, I was like kind of a movie. But the guy's like getting through the stuff. He's trying to find the right tools. Like, come on, give me the keys. Give me the keys. Oh man. Is George Kittle a top 10 tight end Hall of Famer? All right. Well, he's stacked up right now. 8,000 yards receiving in his career. 52 touchdowns receiving. He's got Jimmy Graham ahead of him. Zach Ertz ahead of him. Greg Olsen ahead of him. Rob Gronkowski ahead of him. I think that when it comes to Graham, Ertz, and Olsen, I think it's very much up in the air whether those guys get in. I think if those guys get in, Kittle gets in. But that is sort of where the line begins, to where he's sort of in that weird place where it's really about 9,000 yards. He's about 1,000 yards away, essentially 1,000 yard season away from hitting that line where he'd be right in there with Gronk, Sharp, Gates, and then you'd have to give him in on that because, of course, what he's done as a blocker can't be understated, and that impact to the running game and rushing attack in the Niners through the years has also been a big part of what he brings to the table. He says, "B, can you imagine if you watched that flea flicker laugh high? You would have laughed twice as hard." I probably would have. I don't know if I would have been able to recover and get back on the broadcast. I still want to see what the back was doing. Oh man, somebody online's got to do a meme of that. Or you could do like so many different movies where there's the partner and he's looking at the buddy and he's like, give me the thing. Come on. And they're doing, and then they go to the partner. It's that painful thing where they're like, I just can't. Where's and it has no urgency. And off inside here to Warren, and he's swallowed on up and taken down for no gain. Good job by the Texans there. Who am I rooting for, Brando? Man, I don't know if I gotta. And that's got to be the first. That's got to be the first time Woody Marks has ever done that. He did They're gonna have to stop showing the fight and make me laugh every time. All right, 2nd and 10. Rodgers and shotgun. I'm showing him a short little zone look here. He's got to take it off the top. Oof. He took a shot down the line. They gave him a coverage, just kind of testing him, saying, go ahead, Aaron, see if you get the arm to put that in there. And he actually put a pretty decent pass in there on a corner route to DK out of a condensed split. Just. Why do you fight your hands? They're your hands. They should be mighty hands. You should have oven mitts. We should be saying, look at the oven mitts of you. All right, throw out in space here to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, former Seattle Seahawk. Makes a 4-yard reception. You gotta catch those. So I don't know if I got a rooting interest. I think Texans are the most dangerous team to us. Not the most dangerous, but in this matchup between these two, they'd be the most dangerous team to us to play in the Super Bowl. But not scared of them either, right? So, but by that nature, I'd say, take away the toughest matchup you may face off the board is the best way to go. I stay in that lane pretty heartily. Yeah, DK still with those hands sometimes, man. Remove Briggs, replace with Briggs. Oof. Aaron put a great throw on him. I mean, that's a great throw. Those corner routes are not easy throws. And especially with DK taking an hour and a half to get through the physical coverage of the secondary. Like he was navigating that thing like there's a bush taking up a whole yard and he had to go back onto the sidewalk and around the back of the sidewalk. And then every guy get into the route, get into the cut. Gets one guy, first guy gets him going sideways. Femi on the 3 safety look, I would say that definitely there's a potential they could use it, having all 3 of these guys rocking kind of the same time and, theoretically healthy. I think that'll be the end of the first quarter here. Fun first quarter, 3-0 Steelers. They could. Usually with Mike, the times that he brings out the 3 safety look is when he gets like 3rd and 14. He's got a real down and distance thing that he really locks into if he's going to utilize it. But also to that respective things, I think there's a lot of what the Niners will try to do this upcoming week will be built within trying to attack some of the seams of Seattle's defense. When can we get them from a cover 2 to a cover 3? Recognize the cover 3 and then have that an attack plan to that seam. And those can be the in-breaking routes, heavily utilized. Those can be the seam fly route right from the seam, like we saw Demarcus Robinson running in the game against the Eagles yesterday. Runs that little move, runs it right up the seam and just attacks. And the reason being for this is that with a cover 2 defense, if you go pure cover 2, your 2 safeties take a half field read, right? They go, okay, we're going to half field. But then that does, if you think about their nature of when they slide post snap, think about that safety slide into cover 2, right? Here's your seams. Here's the way they slide post snap into cover 2. Seams slide like that post snap. So when that does occur, that's why they become a little bit vulnerable there, especially if you have corners playing off coverage. Now I can rep on the route and jump in front. It's hard to get the in-breaking routes on that. We saw the Rams have a hard time with that at times against the Panthers with what they run with that. If it's cover 1, then you just got to get off the line, get off the press coverage, and then the route's going to be open because the safeties are dropping into space to those sides. Even then, if it's cover 3, corners drop to depth, safety's middle of the field, but he's also naturally dropping to depth. You still get the seam problem. And this can be mitigated if you have the middle linebacker dropping, but then, of course, with a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who threats come out of the backfield, do you want EJ dropping back 20 yards into the middle of the field or stepping up and being ready for McCaffrey? It's a bit of the pickle the Niner offense can put you in, of course. Maybe a little bit would be my answer. A little bit. Maybe. Even any theories on why Rodgers isn't wearing the turtleneck? That puts the ultimate fear into even the best defense. Usually an automatic 300 yards. Tough look. It's a hard look to rock that turtleneck, man. You got to have a lot of confidence as a man. Ole Miss receivers this weekend. Oof. We need to order about 3 different jug machines for the Ole Miss program right now. Bad snap here to Stroud. He's going to try to salvage something here. Throws it waywardly, just kind of away. maybe a bit of some nerves in this game from both teams here a little bit. Didn't look like a tremendously awful snap. It wasn't a grade A snap. But somebody earlier said maybe he's playing a little bit of it. And boy, Trent Brown just keeps. If I'm Tomlin, I'm over there in the officials' ear going, y'all watching, you guys are watching Trent Brown, right? He's snapping early on the pass pro every time. Throw here out into space and Kirk on a little sprint option play to the left for CJ Stroud. Out route there to Kirk. He makes the catch. First down, Texans. Please do hit that like button if you get a chance for me, folks, today. Really appreciate it. Maybe sub up. First and 10. Anyone want to see the play with the defender grabbing the Texans, twig and berries? It's playoff football. Twigs will be snapped. Berries will be crushed. Tis true. Incomplete on a first down play here to Dalton Schultz. Schultz is rocking the turtleneck. Boy, does not go with the football thing there with that one. Man, again, hands around the waist. This has got to be a new technique these corners are being taught. They'll get you up here, but they won't get you down there. In breaking route here, and a very good throw, but a very, very good catch by Collins, reaching out in front, showing you what a pair of hands looks like. Snatching that ball out of air and reeling it in. Beating up on Porter there. Nice catch. Kind of used his face mask. Couple first downs. Texans still on their side of the field. Hand off to Woody Marks. He gets a head of steam up in front of him through a hole and gets spun around. Falls forward. Gets himself a nice gain, though. What's up, Donnie? How you doing, man? These hands are stone, I know, but they're not yours. They are my own. 2nd and 4. Handoff inside Woody. Woody bounces right from the first tackler. Cannot get away from the second one. Nick Arbig making the play there. Steelers doing a good job overall. Run defense and defensively overall. They're not making this easy on this Texans team. Doesn't help when the Texans are running strange flea flickers and can't catch a snap all of a sudden. Yeah, I think there's a cover 4. I'm forgetting off the top of my head what it is, but I do believe there is. Cover 2, cover 3, cover 6. I don't think there's a cover 5, though, so maybe there's not. I run very often. I'll tell you that. Oh, the catch here by the Texans. Picks the ball right up off the turf. Was that Schultz? That's the power of the turtleneck right there. He wouldn't have made that catch without the turtleneck. Facts. 1st and 10. Handoff inside here. Boom. Man, there's some hitting going on in there. Offensive lineman went flying. That was Chubb. No wonder Chubb was the guy with the ball. He can be such a hammer in there. That was awesome. Playoff football, baby. 2nd down 1, 9-yard gain there for Chubb. Texans uniforms are hard to read their numbers. Another give to him. another battering ram run, just lowers his head, boom, spins off, comes back down. He may not have the quickness after all those surgeries, the knees, but this is one hell of a tough runner with great contact balance. Bam. All right, Texans lean into a little bit of Chubb here, man. Type of running back can wear down a defense. I know they love Woody. Hot hand. First and 10. Ball at the 39-yard line. Back to him again. Here he keeps going. See, this is good. I like this. Don't overthink it, right? Well, now we've ran twice with him. So, no. Now we've got to go to play action. Can't just run it 3 straight times. They'll start to know what we're trying to do. That's way too predictable. No. 6-yard gain. Keep it going. Hell of a drive. 11 plays here. Ball at the 33-yard line. Back under center, C.J. Stroud. Hand off here to Woody Marks. Marks gets the edge. Marks shot out of a cannon up this field. Big play by Woody. And the Texans finding a run game on this drive as they start to potentially kind of wear down this Steelers team here on this drive. It's been a long one. Picture perfect blocking out front. And bad Steeler tackling as well. A bit of both. Ball at the 13. Woody looks locked in. Another handoff here. Back inside. See? Here we go. I love this. Kubiak, this happens tomorrow. This is what I want you to do. You just keep just at 6, 7, 6, 6, 7, 5, 6. Keep going. Keep going. Antoine, what does Christopher Walken think of the pace of the game so far, Brandon? Sloppy. Reminds me a sheep we used to keep in the pen when I was a child. We didn't clean the pen ever. Yet, as a child, I used to play in the pen because I liked that sheep. We eventually ate that sheep. But the pen was dirty, and this game is too. Don't like the smell. Antoine, what is this AFC brand of football? I don't recognize it. I don't see it. No way the Super Bowl winner comes from here. Marks is down. Come on, Nick Chubb. Maze Guru here in Montana. I walk the dog while wearing shorts and t-shirt pretty much anytime above 0 freeze. Yeah, see, I would be out there with frostbite if I did that. I'd be coming back going, take me to the hospital. Chubb may be slow, but he will hurt you. He will find you, and he will hurt you. Jordan, thank you for the $5 donation. Appreciate you, man. CJ is playing stiff and making mistakes. Guess he's seeing ghosts. Well, he's got that rich playoff history of winning a... No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have that, really. It's as we see again and again, Jordan, with this discussion and debate around Darnold. Comes back to that same thing again and again, which is, number one, the inaccuracy of the outlook of Darnold and what he is and who he is really as a player, which we, of course, has been hammering all year long. But also the improper, uneven, inconsistent, only applied to Sam model of expectation for what makes a quarterback, as legitimate or not. And by legitimate, meaning capable of taking you to a Super Bowl and going and getting a Super Bowl. And you're right. It's not really, it's as we always say with it, we see it over, we were talking about this with Herbert last night. It's not applied to Sam. He doesn't get that same benefit of the doubt these other guys will. Throw here out in space. Nice job there. Completed to Christian Kirk's been the best receiver for, oh no, Colin's been good too here for Jim Day, but that's a touchdown. Gets the Steelers fully loading up for the run there. Just play action, then go back away from it. And you got him easily out there in space, wide open. That's one way to get around on your quarterback playing a little stiff, is just go get him that easy throw from an offensive coordinator's standpoint. Fake pitch play and then come back the other way. You know the Steelers are going to load up for it. You've run the ball freaking 6 times in a row. That's a very smart offensively called drive by the Texans. That is a very, very intelligently called 14-play, 92-yard drive. Not just because you get the touchdown, but every step of it in their approach to that. Because one of the ways you can settle a quarterback down is getting a running game going. Another way you can settle a quarterback down is finding some easy throws and get him an easy throw that's a touchdown. Here we go. But you're right about the model. Your point still stands nonetheless, and that, you know, this marker that Sam's held by is just one that doesn't add up. Not when we try to apply it elsewhere where it doesn't ever seem to be applied. Brendan says, I bet if Sam wins the Super Bowl, they'll do some Force Ghost BS graphic. Laugh my ass. Oh my God, they will. That's so true. So lazy, but so true. You know they will. And it'll be eye-rolling, Brendan. All right. Well done. You guys got it on the graphics game. This is Mike McDaniel interviewing for the OC job with the Lions tomorrow. That's an interesting fit. I guess the head coaching heat on Mike ain't as hot. Why would he be doing an OC? Why would he be doing OC interviews if he was going to go back and get a head coaching job? It's also, though, does show a little bit of the problem of us if we lose Kubiak here, where very likely McDaniel's off the board if Kubiak goes because of the timing of when Kubiak would be hired. You got it, Bill. Running game takes pressure. Takes pressure off. More cowbell, more better game, please. Improve now. Getting some discussion in the chat about Chicago's weather. Probably gonna be down the low 30s there by game time, since they're gonna do it prime time. Gotta figure. 1 second here, folks. Sorry here, folks. Get text out. Intentional grounding on Rodgers. He does, that's always the mouth movement he does. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know what he's mad about. I think he thought that was a tight end. There's nobody over there. I think there's probably, maybe a running back must have blew that. There had to have been a running back over there, right? Just an RB didn't get over there. John Santiago says, drunk stream if the Hawks make it or win the Super Bowl. Yeah, we'll probably go, I ain't gonna lie, we're probably gonna go 24 hours if the Hawks win the Super Bowl. I mean, we're gonna be live and I'm gonna be amped up to the nines. Aaron Rodgers drops back. He's going to throw a little bubble screen down to Keith Gainwell. Keith Gainwell gets a little bit there. Not enough. Fourth down. But, yeah, we might have to crack a bottle. We might have to crack a bottle if we get the win on that. Yeah, I was getting some funny texts. I'm on some funny text trains. Plus, I'm also trying to get a haircut before the game, and my hairstylist is a 49er fan, and so yeah, I kind of started out hot on that one. I said, I need you to cut my hair this week so I look good when my Hawks beat your Niners. And then she said she's going to F up my haircut. And then it just kept going back and forth from there. Hey, the Niners are going to come out hot this week. I learned last couple weeks ago. No mercy. What's up, Megan? Good to see you in the house. This was the play I was going to show you guys too, by the way. My prediction this Sunday. This was the last Niner game we played. People asking about Shaheed Chosen if you're in the house. It's a little bit in reference to you on this. I formations were working against the Niners last week. Starts out with a two high shell look here from the Niners. Safety comes down in the box. Shaheed is at the bottom of your screen. And take me off the screen for a second here so you can see this. Watch what happens. Share from there. I can do it this way. Watch again here. Y'all see that? So Sam's got his priority over here to JSN the whole way. In breaking routes going to JSN. And it's relatively opened up because the underneath defender's climbing up on the tight end. But if you notice on the bottom of your screen, if Sam wants to take a shot here, he's got Shaheed. That safety on the high side of the screen ain't getting there. So when the coaches watch this on tape, they're going to see the same thing I'm seeing. Anything all that brilliant, anything that hard to see here. He's wide open on that route right now. And I'd register to guess that this is not the first spot where that's been the case with him. And the coaches are going to see this, and this will be the perfect time to utilize something there where you want to go steal a quick 7. I think the Niners are going to try to run that again here, and especially in the hopes of potentially stopping the run. It's going to be there. Handoff inside here to Marks on first down. Look at the options. So many options, man. And now defense starts to suck a little bit into where JSN. He becomes like a a planet. It's going to get a bunch of moons orbiting. Well, then you're going to, and you can start to know for sure you're getting that single coverage with Shaheed, and you can know it prior to the snap, and you get press coverage on the outside right there on him. Then he's going to run by anybody in this sport, especially going to run by the number 2 corner for the Niners, number 2 corner for the Rams. 2nd and 6 here. Oh my gosh, CJ, buddy. CJ. Sam's got to watch this and think the same thing. It's going to suck if I can't suddenly catch snaps. That's a bad thing. And frankly, that shouldn't be happening at this point in time of the year, but this is nerves. You drop the snap. This is that old axiom I say, don't make a bad play worse. Don't make a bad play worse. And he drops the snap. The best of snaps, but again, it's in play to where it should have caught it. And then he gets into panic mode and he's flustered all through the pocket, and then he tries to get the ball pulled back to throw it, and then the ball gets stripped of him. Don't make a bad play worse. Taking a sack is not the worst thing sometimes. Yeah, it's going to look odd. And then you're going to have people go, well, there's 2 snaps he missed in the game. Like, so what? You got a touchdown the last drive when you took and just threw it away, or he's trying to throw it away there, but that you didn't have the opportunity on that one. Take the sack. Pitch play out wide here to Gainwell, and well defended by Petrie. He's a hell of a defender. He takes them down for a 4-yard loss on the play. Quarterbacks have that spirit, which you love in them, to be like, hey, don't just give up on a play, right? Keep fighting. You don't want to have them take an L. And Metcalf completely lost that block. Man, DK, you got to hit that block, buddy. Ugh. Like, he had a chance with Petrie there, and he just let Petrie launch right in the backfield. Got a 3rd and 14 coming up here. Trips to the far side of the field for Rodgers. DK isolated to the near side. Rodgers trying to send the back out of the backfield to take the blitz away there. Again, he throws it off of the top of his toes there and gets a check down to Gainwell. Gainwell is going to be short of the first down by 2 yards, but picks up a lot of that 3rd down yardage right there. Rodgers employing the jump pass technique to avoid both getting sacked and getting the pass off. Fourth and 2. The analytics say go for the kick. Steelers are going for the Teddy. 4:07 to go in the second quarter. Rodgers throws it out into space, and he's going to complete it after a play-action pass. First down. Ballsy play call. Straightforward coaching thing to do there is just take those points, but like the energy from the Steelers, we're going to go get this. Go take this thing. First down and goal. Ball on the 9-yard line. 3 wide here for the Steelers. Hand off inside here to Warren. He tries to stretch it outside and cut back in to get the defender to bite. Defender don't bite. Lassiter are able to bring him down where he stands. Short gain, 2nd down. Megan, thank you for the $5 donation. Appreciate you. Rewatched a week 2 clip of Jesse and the Hap bet from week 1. Guess for week 12's all things to those who must wait, huh, B? Well, it's also like Spock said. Revenge is best served on a dish cold. And Jesse's going to get his fill. He didn't understand the sheer Rodgers off his back foot throwing nowhere. He didn't understand the sheer level of pettiness that I might go to in my search to find the right hat. We do have a flag on the play here. Is this holding on the defense? Is that why nobody's open? Nope. Ineligible man downfield. Declined. Third down. Texans don't want to give him an extra play here. Unless they get this thing really close, I'd imagine they would go for the field goal at this point. Will Anderson destroyed that last play. Third down and goal. Rodgers looking through his reads, and he's eventually just going to get collapsed in the pocket like a statue. Danielle Hunter. He looked and 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 looked. Thank you though, Megan. Appreciate you. And tomorrow, folks, you are going to want to tune into the NFC West Roundtable if you weren't already, because we are going to get Jesse Naylor from Last Second Sports in the hat. And he's going to have to do the most ridiculous thing in the world, which is try to explain why the Seattle Seahawks are going to be beat this upcoming week with that monstrosity on his head. And I'm really looking forward to that, Megan. Mungles, thank you for the $2 donation. Jesse posted a pic in the hat if you haven't seen it. Thank you for that dono and that note. And indeed, if you guys want, you can either go to my X account or go over there to Jesse's X account, Last Second Sports, as he did post a picture of him in the glorious hat. You can see how big it is. I don't know how he holds his head up with that thing on there, really. It's almost like what it would be like for a baby when you see babies first trying to hold their head up where they don't have the muscle there. It's a big hat. Probably why they discontinued it, frankly. Like there's a lot of neck injuries and strains and stuff. But I love how season's going so good, and this Tuesday is going to be so much fun. I am really looking forward to Muggles. Him in that hat. He does not want to wear a hard hat. I know that. Where are they on the field right now? They're down. They were going for a field goal. Did they miss it? What the hell happened? A 2-minute warning. We're at the 2-minute warning. They're down at the 9-yard line. You might have to wait a few years on that one, Quinn. Hold on. Where's my rim shot? I'm just saying. A lot of go for Tomlin's here. Okay. I will indeed. Come on, sell the thumbnail, Jesse. You gotta have a smile. It's either a big smile or a big frown. Mike is very chill. He's good people. I give him a hard time about the cars, but he's good people. Keon says, make that ferry boat bet. Seahawks bet B. I might have to. See if he takes it. It's going to be hard to get him to accept a bet with that hat on his head. He's already being the equivalent of like the Game of Thrones shame walk where Cersei has to shame walk through the whole town and they're throwing stuff at her and calling. Like that's already like the feeling for him equivalent right now with wearing that hat. Jesse's all hat, no cattle. How do you find the picture of Jesse in a hat? I'll bring it up here. I'll show you guys. Look at our boy. Look at our boy there. Look at that thing. Huh? Shame. 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 Poor Jess. Poor Jesse. I gotta wear that hat, and then you gotta play us this Saturday. John says, yeah, that's right. Jesse's streamer said they weren't going to watch the streams because he had to wear that hat. Oh, come on now. He's got to wear it. Y'all got to show up for him. My people showed up for me. We're all going through that together. That's the beauty of it. Kickoff here down to the 2-yard line, brought up by Jalen Noel. He's going to stop, put on the brakes, try to reverse field, and doesn't go very far. Barely back up the 20-yard line for all of that movement. Megan says, BI, friendly back and forth with a Niner fan today. Told him I was waiting for an intelligent comment from him. Haven't heard from him since. It's going to be a touchy week. There's going to be some stuff on edge here a little bit this week, I think. Antoine says, hey, Brandon, will there be any potential landing spots for A.J. Brown? I'm thinking Buffalo. I love that fit. I ain't going to lie. I really like that fit. Handoff here inside to Woody Marks. He's going to be captured by Watt and company and brought down for a couple yard gain. I think the Chargers one, I don't think necessarily makes sense because the Chargers' commitment to running the ball, and you could run back into the same problem that you've run into a little bit with Philadelphia there. In that you aren't throwing enough target touches his way. Of course, with Buffalo, they love to throw the ball. With their defense probably not getting significantly better into the future, they're going to probably need to throw the ball a lot in the future. And the Buffalo Bills fans have been hammering their general manager for the past 2 years, especially the deadline, not doing more to really go find like a dynamic guy to pair there with. We got a third and 1 with 1:07 to go here on the clock for the Texans. Timeout taken. So, like, the Buffalo one does stand out to me as kind of a far and away one that makes a lot of sense. As well, you're moving into the AFC, so you don't have to have them come back and kick your butt back, later down on the road on that one. Could Kansas City try to make a run at him as well for a team that's, struggled at times to find quite the right replacements there at the receiver position since Tyreek Hill's left, and with Kelsey potentially likely to retire. Shotgun look here for C.J. Stroud on 3rd and 1. 5 of 6 are the Texans today on 3rd down. They're going to go with a little tush-push kind of play, and looks like they're going to get it. The scrum was able to push him forward. Doing a little barnyard there was Cade Stover, the tight end. He was going to motion and just took the snap and went forward. That's kind of creative. Offensive coordinator's been in his bag a little bit today for the Texans. 1st and 10. Quick throw underneath here. Back to the tight end again here, Stover, for a short completion. I know he only got 7 points, but Stroud's been hands shaking like he's walking through a haunted house. See, this is it. Pretty funny. He's going to be predicting this game in a Seahawks hat, laughing out loud. It's what we call right there irony. Irony. The side eye is epic. He's owning it. I love it. I love it about Jesse, man. He's owning it. You just gotta. You just gotta. Okay, that was worth the wait. Oh. New profile pic. Who likes it? The picture will live forever. I love it. I love it. That's perfect. And he says, Hawks Nest never enter a match of wits with an unarmed opponent. Guess that counts Niners fans, right? It kind of does. You've gotten a few debates. You know what's going on. You know what we're dealing with. Patriots, that's another good one. I was trying to think of some other good places. Patriots makes a lot of sense too. That one makes a lot of sense. Panthers. Could the Panthers come out there and they pair him with Tetaroa McMillan? That'd be a team that would maybe be interesting. Arizona Cardinals. I know Michael Wilson's rising up here, but yeah, they're not as likely. They're going to go with Wilson and Harrison in the future. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. I like the Pats one, though. It's one I think you nailed. The Buffalo, Patriots. They feel like they'd be the most aggressive. Jacksonville already went out there and got Jacoby, and they're just going to hope Brian Thomas gets better. Texans. The Texans already drafted 2 receivers last year. Higgins and Noel. They're going to roll with that. I don't think it'll be as big a list for Brown as the Eagles might think when they're thinking about him being offered on the open market. Could end up affecting what they get back in return. And it could be a lot more of a closer return to what DK pulled back than it is to what people think on the surface of him being able to pull back a first-round pick would be. One thing is you don't have to put him on a new contract, but is there going to be a long list of teams line up for him? I mean, Second down 5, 41 seconds to go, second quarter, 1 timeout left for the Texans. Stroud dropping back to throw, internal pressure bearing down and on him, making it hard to throw, but he still gets off a great throw to Jalen Noel. And you really can't ask for a better throw than that. He's got just his center there, it looks like, getting just dog walked into the pocket. And alligator arm Jalen Noel there saw Clark coming and started to anticipate that hit rather than just keep reeling in the ball. You see his head turn towards the hit. Another tough snap there for Stroud where he struggles to gather it in. Hayward bearing down on the pressure. Stroud just makes a freaking money throw there. Money throw. You got to catch that in the playoffs, Noel. I know you're a rookie kid, but that's, especially when you see the head turns. One thing when you have the drop, but when it's the head that turns, and it's not alligator arm per se, but it's alligator arm mentality per se, because you're not looking the ball into your hands because you're trying to protect yourself for what you're anticipating to be the hit. Like, that's a game-changing type play there if you make that reception. Not to be too hard on him, but hell of a throw on one leg. Like, Bailey, help your quarterback out, man. Center can't snap. He can barely catch the snap. He's got pressure in his face right up the middle. Help a man out. Help a man out. John, thank you for the $2 donation. It says, Game 3 bet with Jesse, a Darnold jersey. Somebody was mentioning maybe have make him be wearing a Darnold jersey and on the Bainbridge Ferry shouting he loves the Seahawks. And let me film it. First down throw here to Christian Kirk. Anytime he's needed a reception in this game, Stroud's gone back to Kirk over and over again. And the Texans are going to take their final timeout. We'll see what we can cook up for a third bet. We definitely have to. The problem is this, that we keep going bigger and bigger, and this could go out of control very quickly, John. It's good. I know how this stuff goes. This escalates really quickly. Really quickly. Plus, we might have traumatized Jesse with this hat. Don't know if he's going to have a lot of interest in the future on this. Being like, no. No. I'm guessing that's what he's going to be like. Not if you did me like that, bro. Not if you did me like that. 1st and 10. 28 seconds to go here in the second quarter. Stroud dropping back out of shotgun. He got a man open, and he overthrew Nico Collins, and that's saying something. Collins, a big man with long arms, and sailed it when he was kind of moving to his right there. Texans, close in this half, man. Close in this half. .22 seconds to go. No timeouts for the Texans. Ball at the 45-yard line. Up 7-6 in this game. Quick throw out in space, and probably just as well that he didn't catch that ball. That would have probably wound out the rest of the half. Ooh. Thank you, John. The don't know. We'll see if we can come up with something. See, that's what I'm talking about. Is there going to be another half bad? Could go for a full Hawks mascot suit this time. Yeah, I'm just saying, this could get out of control quick. 3rd down and 10. Steelers threaten a blitz. They bring it late. Stroud sitting back, trying to look for something. Finds a man on a little just throw out in the flat there to save himself. This will bring us to 4th down, and this is going to be, after a punt, the end of this half. Koken says, didn't Jesse say he'll wear the hat in his first dream when he gets it? He still hasn't worn it. Or will he wear it in the first dream after the roundtable? I mean, I've been trying to not hold him too hard on that because I didn't wear the hat in my stream. I only wore it on the roundtable, the Niner hat. But we'll see if he wears it on the behind enemy lines on Wednesday. Is DK or AJ better? AJ's better. Both of them have drop-itis issues that come up. But AJ Brown is just overall just a bit better down the line. Runs confident. I see 10 points max for the Niners. I think I'm being generous. Having a feeling it could be worse than the game week 18 for them. It's possible. They are getting back Ricky Pearsall. They do get back Trent Williams, or he's been back now. So it could make them a little tougher. But we've got the elements to get it done, that's for sure. And that home crowd's going to be turned up. And I don't think the Niners are going to take over that stadium quite to the degree they've taken over in recent history. Y'all are holding Jesse. I thought Jesse said. Yeah. We'll see if we get him to wear it during the behind enemy lines. He said it last roundtable. There was a question. I think I answered that one. I asked, do you think the Seahawks might move some draft picks this offseason? This upcoming draft isn't very good. It's a very, very distinct possibility. I would always, on these things, try to base it upon kind of past history along with where this draft is at. And I think a lot of what happened with John, and I was just thinking about this for the Packers recently too, a little bit. And that I was thinking with John, and that I think it just got very frustrating picking in the 20s in the first round, especially. And say nothing of that, even picking in the second round and the 20s in that way at times. I think he more likes the second round because I think he just understands the value. There's more writer in what he wants to do. But when it comes to the first round, I think what ends up happening is that though the common thinking out there, I think from fans will be that, well, 32 picks, so 32 first round worthy players, right? Or, maybe there's only just 28 first round worthy players. But it's really like, if you're putting like true first round grades out there on guys, I think most years you're probably lucky to pull into like 17 or 18 guys on a pretty solid draft. Middle-ish of the road, maybe even. But it's going to be rare you ever get above or into the 20s. And so what you find yourself with that is that there is a real shelf you've gone down as far as talent goes once you do get into the 20s there. And things become a lot more of a mixed bag. And frankly, things become more of, these are second round players, really. That's the distinction. The only thing that's making them first rounders is the number by which where they're selected, not by what they actually are as players. So John goes down this road, I think, and he learns this with a couple of guys, that this is not fun and it's not easy to find a real difference maker player there. And I'm drafting status, but I'm not really getting the player to the status. I would say that there's definitely an opening because he's gone down that road before prior for these very reasons, I think, where he looks at it in the same way. And he goes to some other team, this first round pick, if I can get this player back in return, is going to be held up in very high regard. But for me, because I know where I'll be picking and the kind of player I have to go get, not as much there for me. And why I was thinking about this for the Packers is that if you look at the Packers roster and you look at how it's built right now, it's not a bad roster. It's good players. They probably should have won more games than they won this last year, but why are they making the trade for Micah Parsons? Because it's whether it's, where you're kind of, Rashawn Gary's been a solid player, but Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Savage, the safety a couple of years ago, J.J. Stokes, who's now with the Raiders, Christian Watson. Devontae Wyatt. If you go through all these guys, they're into the later portions of the first round, into mostly those 20s-ish range. And they put together a solid roster, but you ain't getting the difference makers there. And I think of John, he looks at this roster and he goes, okay, I've replicated a little bit of what I'd done prior 10 years ago and putting together a really sound, complete roster that's also got some depth to it. And I got young players developing, again, young roster. So it's not an aging one where if I add more age onto this, that's somehow like, man, you're making this an old roster now, you're hoping to get it done. No, it's a pretty young roster, putting an aging player in there that's still really good, i.e. a Crosby-like guy, could end up making a lot of sense. Or adding a real dynamic cover corner on the outside. I do think that he's got a bit of a scratch that he's looking to itch. He's got an itch he's looking to scratch when it comes to this possibility. I do. And for all those factors I just kind of laid out. And then the final one being, of course, as you touch on, and it's a general narrative you hear out there, but the reason you're hearing this in all different places is because it's the truth. Look at it right now. Where I'm at right now, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got like 12 first round grades. I don't have one blue chip prospect in my first round grades. And I'm at the spot of the scouting process, getting 100 into this, where I'm kind of already through the first rounders. I'm deep into the second, third rounders, and I'm starting to move into real day 3 guys. So, yeah, it is what it is with this draft. It's got a lot of guys with some solid floors, but the upper end and what they could bring on as far as to my exact point on difference-making components, those are missing from this draft. It's guys that come in with a particular skill set to do a particular thing, but not a guy that's going to give you the full meal deal. Max might just be the way here. John, thank you for the dollar donation. Jesse yells, Sam Darnold is elite. Make him say it over and over for about 20 seconds. Till you hear it in your heart, Jesse. Till you hear it in your heart. Mary says, Jesse can't complain you too much. He made you wear sourdough Sam. I know. He made me wear a hat that made me look like sourdough Sam was shitting me out. He had this coming. Stroud is not playing great. And the lack of ability of catching a snap is not a great sign here. He's struggling just to reel that sucker in. Ugly football. I forgot this bet between Tate and Kaepernick. Talking trash to my hairstylist. It's getting heated here. Oh, the trash. It's Niner week. Let's go. Let's go. I forgot about that belt, though. Daniel says, Jesse betting on game 3 of the Niners is like making a bet with a cripple that you can outrace and let him save his dignity. It does feel a little unfair. It's not exactly the height of each team's power here, right? Not exactly rocking that. Oh, Jesse's rocking the hat for the round table. You better believe that tomorrow. 100%. 100%. Herbert man can't get an offensive line. I don't know if he's been vexed or what it is, but that guy just can't ever, no matter the assets they pour into it, get to the end of the season one way or the other, he don't have an offensive line. This ain't happening. Quinn says, I wouldn't envy Stafford with an injured finger trying to throw a ball in sub-freezing windy temperature. Yeah, I wouldn't either. And it sounds like the x-rays were negative. But those fingers, man, you hit them weird like that, and it definitely is not something that comes back the next week feeling 100%, even with a bunch of treatment. It gets numb when you got things like all that stiffness from an injury like that. Boy, does it get real numb in the weather. And you just need your feeling. They do have all that space age stuff now, though, don't they, Quinn? Where it's like they got the heat pockets in there where they just put them in their little thing and they can warm their hands up with something that's like just pure heater inside going on at all times. See it flopping along in his little, whatever they call that thing, the hand warmer. Payback's a bitch, says Megan. It is a bitch. Whoever's that draft sucks, and we're going to pick 32. Don't think it'll matter because all the high-end talent will be gone. Yeah. Kind of a lot of ways you can go with it, but I think John's perspective and where you have this roster at, I would completely understand saying, all right, I'm going to go find a corner out here and bump it a bump and bring him in here and we'll rock with that. I'd get it because I get a guy this year in the draft and you bring him in and he's not, maybe he's fine. It's going to be hard just to unearth him. And I think you're going to have to draft guys even really low. Like you have certain years where you draft guys into day 3 where you might bring him in with that particular skill. He's a power edge that's really good at stopping the run, but he doesn't give any pass rush. That kind of guy. Or a high-end tight end blocker that can give you a little bit as a pass catcher. That kind of guy. You might have to start making that decision in this draft a little bit earlier on certain players. Where you're like, well, he's a running back who can't catch. He's a really good running back. Kind of those conundrums, Herbicide. You don't like making them those choices on day 1 or 2. Have they announced the time we play on Saturday? Is the NFL going to be quirky and wait until the game is over as if it matters? They're being quirky technically, but everything seems to be 1:30 on Saturday. Well, versus the draft got a few studs, got to turn players to superstars. Maybe eventually we might see it. There are those historical drafts, Wilbert, that do exist. Go back to the Aaron Curry draft. Go look at that first round. There are those drafts that there's just sometimes some ones where it's like, oof. There are some guys I do like the top of the draft. I don't know if they're going to fully get to superstar status, but they are legit first rounders. And I've Ruben Bain, and you guys know I've been talking about him with like Reggie White vibes. He went on a pretty nice run here in the playoffs for how he's looked. And he's a guy that's a very intriguing prospect to me for what he brings as a pro, just because he's so unique too off the edge. He's all these kind of power rushers with the size a lot of them have been coming out with, but he's actually got a little bit more juice than those guys normally have, a little bit more bend and dip than these guys normally have. There's 4 good first round wide receivers. Certainly love the Notre Dame running back. A lot of people feel like can be a guy like a Bijan. I don't quite get there myself, but look, there's the possibility with how some of the people talk about him. He's in that realm. I think the Alabama kid's going to be a good one too. Proctor. Super young, just big, moves really, really smoothly. B, does the NFL allow you to have 0 draft picks? Yeah. You can trade them all away if you want. Play action pass here to start out this second half for C.J. Stroud. I roll him to his left. Finding Higgins out in space for a reception. First down. The AFC's had some really ugly football games except for the Bills game. Yeah, the last 2 have not been pretty. That Patriots-Chargers game looked very similar to this one, where you're seeing a lot of mistakes and sloppiness from 2 teams that are in the playoffs that you wouldn't expect to see that from, or just to this great amount. First and 10, ball at the 41-yard line, handoff inside here. Moody Marks quickly through the hole with a nice run there. Not a big TJ Parker guy, John. I got him in the 3rd round. But him and his running mate out there at Clemson, I'm not over the board with on their skill sets. I think they're day 2 guys. But those Clemson defenders, when you watch their tape over the past couple of years, you can find some really good talented guys, but you're wading through some good bad. You're wading through the bad with the good with them as well. There's no 2 ways about it with that. But I still got him as a day 2 guy. Play action pass by CJ. Throws it over the middle here and completes it there to Higgins. Well done. Higgins with his 2nd catch of the day. Throwing it on in, cutting route. They're getting them in on the play action right now for the Steelers. So Steelers buying into the run game. Of course, that one really nice drive that the Texans had, they were run the ball like hell. So Steelers kind of loading up on it. 13:24 to go here in the third quarter. Looks like we got an injury here on the football field. Stopping play. I doubt he even picks his own team to win. Be deciding on New Jersey. Here's what I'm thinking. Doc 88 or McFly 55. What do you think? Ooh, Doc 88 goes pretty hard. I kind of like that one. Am I making another bet with Jesse? We'll probably come up with something, but some of these suggestions, this thing's really escalating fast. I might have to put the brakes down on this before this gets out of control. Okay, the losers got to run downtown, buck naked, in the opposition city, in the middle of the night, down a whole city block, screaming he loves the other team's team. Wait, hold on. I don't want to risk this much. I don't want to put this much skin in the game. The hat felt like enough. EE says, make the next hat by how much the Seahawks win by. I'd say a fair line is 12, negative 12. See, I don't know if I'd want to do that because then we're getting in with Vegas, and I don't want to play with Vegas. They don't mess around. He says Jesse's a huge Herbert proponent, 0-3 in the playoffs, some of the worst performances known to mankind, yet he's a franchise quarterback, quote unquote, and Sam Darnold's a bum. Yeah, a little bit of the inconsistency there that exists within some of Jesse's outlook to the situation that I think is a fair point of criticism, and one, of course, that I've pointed out to him as well, in that this measurement that you're using for Sam, the tape measure, and Cameron Hayward was the guy that was injured there. He walked off the field. He's walking on his own power there on the sideline for the Steelers. If you're going to take this arbitrary measurement tool and you're going to say, okay, well, a guy's got to win in the playoffs, got to show me that he's done it in the playoffs. Until a guy does that, he sort of doesn't sell you on him. It is an arbitrary tool to use. 1st and 10, handoff here back into Woody Marks. Big holes right up underneath where Hayward would have been there in the defense for the Steelers, tacking that back up right off the jump. And another nice run there for Woody Marks, who's really starting to get going here in this game. Started out slowly, but he's climbed up now, 13 carries, 82 yards, running the ball well. And Texans getting some nice sealed blocks in there. Ed Ingram got a nice seal there. 2nd and 1, you got the whole playbook at your disposal here from the Texans standpoint. 6-man front here for the Steelers. 3 tight ends, sorry. Hand off back into Woody. Woody drug around down for a gain of about 3. First down. John says, Jesse yells Sam Darnold's elite. Thank you, John, for another $2 donation. Says, can't wait for the Rams bet with Jake. Jake got burned as well already this year. I think he's already said he don't want to make no more bets. We might have traumatized both these boys. We might have gotten while the getting's good. The shop might be closed for business at this point. We'll have to see. He might see that 1,000-yard stare in Jesse's eyes and go, I don't want to cross that bridge. Outside zone give here to Woody Marks for a gain of 5. Texans can just kind of seemingly run whenever they want to run in this game. 20 carries, 115 yards. 15 yards. Figure maybe you have to figure something out there, John. Might have to get creative here. But yeah, King, there's definitely a little inconsistency that exists. I mean, I already, number one out the gate, don't like the arbitrary, here's what it takes for a quarterback to prove he's got the goods. I think if you're an analyst, you don't just have some arbitrary measurement tool of this is the line he has to cross over to prove it to me. I think you should have it proven before that a little bit, number one. So I don't apply that to Herbert either, in the same way. But if you are going to make that the model and the measurement, then stay true to your measurement. You have to apply that to everybody then, don't you? To your point. And he would say, no, I don't. Because then on those guys, I'm going to just back to an arbitrary nature decide that they're ones I don't need that from. I need that from. I don't need that from. Why? I just don't. All right, 3rd and 4 here. Stroud, all the time in the world in the pocket to find somebody and ends up throwing an interception. It is hard to play the quarterback position in this day and age in the NFL. I mean, he bounced through every single read in the book. Could not find it. 3rd turnover for the Texans. Hard to win a playoff game with 3 turnovers on the road. You got the lead right now, but that's just in general terms. You got this 1-point lead by the edges of your fingertips here. Stroud looking a little rattled here. Keon says, thanks for streaming all 3 days. Coincide with my days off and made the games much more interesting. Well, thank you for that, Keon. Thank you guys for tuning on in. Really much appreciated. It's had a great turnout again the last couple of days. Just been unbelievable amount of new subs and viewership. And I think we're going to have to make this probably a tradition here for the playoffs, the NFL, of streaming all these games. We had been doing in recent years, the conference championship and the Super Bowl, but I think we got to wrap in division wildcard weekend because a lot of interest for it and get a lot of fans on the outside coming in. Just gives us a little bit of a different experience, which is kind of cool in the chat. Appreciate you. You get a Niner fan, you start something off, it just keeps going back and forth. It don't stop. It will keep going. She's bringing out the sea chicken, folks. It's resorting to sea chicken. Oh man, this week. Here we go. Let's go. Let's lock this in. John is pretty good at finding hidden gems. Yeah, he is. And maybe he's got a bit of a different opinion on this draft. We'll certainly learn a lot by whether or not he makes a trade or not. That will certainly lock in for all the narrative on this that's building up. You're like, yeah. You're not going to get a lot of blowback on this one, John. We get it. Coca says it's a Dolphins fan who said that. He wouldn't list the stats. So I said, okay, casual, enjoy Cancun. Jake can't take a joke. He's the same personality, wasn't there? That's me. Yeah. Man says maybe the draft where I sleep in just started scouting. I'm not impressed. Yeah, it's a little lean. We're going to the Senior Bowl in a couple weeks, and we look at these guys in person, and I'm hoping that they tell me a tale here that's gonna get me hyped on some of them here. That a lot of more I'm giving grades out, and I'm like, it's like Parker, the other kid at Clemson. What was his name? Peter Woods. Mateo Uga Lelele. Damon Wilson. You kind of go, they're fine. They're fine. Handoff inside here on 2nd and 3. Looks like he might have gotten the first down with his forward progress. Might have. M. Jordan with the $20 donation. Let's go, M. Jordan. Let's go. Very, very kind of you, my man. Much, much appreciated. This weekend has been exciting and awesome. But I think every team played at least one full quarter of some of the worst football you have ever seen. Hawks being the most complete team will take us all the way. Let's go. Hey, let's go, M. Jordan. And great thoughts on your part in addition to this. I think that you talk about it of the one quarter you kind of saw from each team. I definitely saw a variety of flaws on each and every one of these teams in the playoffs. Things that you can look at and you say, look, this is an issue right now against this opponent, and this is an issue that's going to probably come up every week. They all have some good things that they bring to the table in addition to that. So it's obviously there's a reason they're in the playoffs. But I think that's part of when we talk about what strikes you a bit in looking at this playoff run right now where we stand is just that it is opened up more than it ever was before. And it feels like a year where there isn't as many pure titans across the place, from the way that they've set up their stuff. Bubble screen here by the Steelers on 1st and 15 is going to lose 4 or 5 yards. Petrie making another play back in the backfield. It's a little more wider up, and with that, there's just not those opponents that would have that typical look of, you got to have everything buttoned up in order to take this team down, this particular opponent down. You can't have an inch given up where you just kind of, like you say, have a quarter, for instance, where you're off track completely and then hope to still win the game. You got to stay locked in the whole game. Doesn't mean you have to play great the whole game, but you just can't have those quarters, like you say, where it's bad football and bad football across the board. There's momentum shifts and there's sloppy play. There's an unpreparedness. I think that's a lot of what you're talking about here. 2nd and 15, short throw to Calvin Austin. This might gain like 5 yards, maybe. Still be 3rd and long here for the Steelers as the Texans continue to suffocate the Steelers offense. So I love your confidence, man. I love your confidence. And I think this confidence is due correctly in looking at this team. I think this is what this week's given us is a chance to certainly look at these other teams closer than the playoffs and watch how they play with a very keen eye, but then also give you a week to look back at this team. And I know this has really been my perspective on it this past week, Jordan. Look at this last play here on 3rd and 9. I'm sure that they are not converting this. Rodgers dropping back, empty look. Oh, they converted it. Let's go. Well, I had no faith in the Steeler offense at that point. They get it down underneath on an in-breaking route inside. 1st down. Clock winds down to 7 minutes and 4 seconds to go here in the 3rd quarter. Marquez Valdez-Scantling putting in work for the Steelers. They don't need no DK Metcalf. They got Marquez. 1st and 10 ball at the 29-yard line. Gainwell bounces it outside. And again, Petrie's there with a variety of defenders. Anderson in there leading the way. Petrie finishing it up. He's just a hell of a player. Kid's just a spark plug for this Texans defense. High energy, high effort, all around the ball. Ball skills. A Baylor defender that delivers. You don't get a lot of those. Baylor's like Clemson, man. They give you a lot of talented guys that come out and they just go. 2nd and 12. Off coverage here from the Texans. Three-man look. Rodgers breaks the pocket. He's showing off a little bit of late-age mobility, but then shows late-age throwing there on the run, dirtying it up. And he just doesn't have no more quickness anymore. I can relate to this. Boy, in the 40s, it catches up fast. Father Time sucks. Young Rodgers, we would have seen him there, get a little burst, buy himself a little bit of an extra second there for things to open up down the field. There, it's guys right there breathing down his back. Steelers 1 of 17 tonight on 3rd down. They've averaged 11.3 yards per 3rd down, and it's a 3rd and 12 here. Rodgers is going to just heave this deep. F it. Calvin Johnson's down there somewhere. Johnson falls down before the ball even arrives. Why are you throwing a deep? If you're throwing a prayer ball deep, why not go to DK? It's not like there wasn't a safety still over the top here. Awful job by Calvin Austin of tracking the football. Like Calvin kind of slows up because he doesn't see the ball correctly for where it's coming in. And when he slows up, the defender does get a hand up on the shoulder. But it's him slowing down and not just, and if you just watch where the ball lands from Rodgers, Rodgers puts that in a perfect place down the field if he just runs the full speed to get underneath the ball. Austin, on top of losing his feet there, just sold on him completely there on that route. You got to run full all the way. That's why ball tracking is so important for receivers, though, when I mentioned this on the scouting reports with guys. The ability to, and JSN's great at this, the ball comes out of the quarterback's hands, and I can feel inherently, where that ball is going to from a trajectory standpoint. Versus those receivers that will watch the ball come out, and keep in mind, it's hard to understand this sometimes watching the camera angles on this because it all looks so close. That quarterback looks far away when you're 40 yards down the field and he's releasing that ball. That ball looks really tiny coming up out of the hand. And it's not always just second nature for these receivers to be able to lock in where the ball is, find it, get up underneath it, and put yourself in the right position. I think Calvin there kind of slowed down a little bit, thinking that ball was a little underthrown when he put it down there perfectly. But Jordan, again, back to this with the teams that have these flaws. Seattle's not perfect by any measure. Turnovers are certainly something that you could look at with the flaw and say that exists within this team this year, and it's been a part of this team throughout this year, and it's something that within the playoffs you're going to have to be mindful of and worried about. But I think when you, outside of that, and you go through the rest, and you have a competent passing attack, and you have great skill position players that can challenge on the outside, and you got a rushing attack with a two-headed monster, and you got great health, and you have a lockdown defense and a lockdown special teams, and the health is good across the board. And this is where you start to think of it in contemplation of the season that was, as to why you have the confidence here, not just merely the number one seed, but because it's been so thoroughly a complete team that's gotten you here. And I think if that doesn't build confidence inside of you, I don't know what does. Those two different things going at each other. The flaws you can see that do exist across the board through the rest of the sport this particular season, and how well it's come together for your team on the front end of that in addition to it there. But Jordan, thank you for the $20 donation, man. I appreciate all of your support. Very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. And let's go, man. Let's go. John with another $2 donation says, face it, you broke Jesse and Jake. Well, I wish I could take the claim for doing this. I am merely just the instrument by which they have to be delivered the news. Right, John? And I think I think you're not wrong, by the way. I do think in a way that there's with Jesse and Jake, there's a sense of like, because what you do have with the Niners and with the Rams is that you have two teams that have gone back and forth the past basically 6 years in owning this division. And when it's not one, then it's the other's division. And we can kind of come up and be a little bit interesting at times in the season, but we're really not that true threat. What did they call us? A roach? I think that's the comparison that they made when I first walked into the round table. Throw out in the flat here by CJ Stroud for a very short completion on first down. 5:20 to go in the third quarter. He finds Hutchinson out there. But I think that what they've faced is that they've had that a bit of, I'm not going to say it's an easy road, but it's just an easier road versus when we can be the challenge we are right now. And I think that they are both sensing that they're about to face this challenge of the Seahawks that's emerging, and that they are both two teams that have had this run. And I think they're smart enough football minds to know. And off inside here, we got a flag. They're smart enough football minds to know that, these Super Bowl runs and having this long period of really stellar play where you're really challenging not just for playoffs, but Super Bowl appearances is not one that lasts forever. And that even though Carroll used to say win forever, Legion of Boom didn't win forever. And that's not because problems of the coaching and all that. That's just, this is the nature of this sport and what it does to you when you build up a winner and how it gets kind of picked away from you. Coaches and players and free agents, contracts, egos. It all starts to take its beating a little bit there. And they're at the end of that road a little bit. We're at the start of ours. And that's not a fun place to look at when you realize that and you know that it's the truth and there's no real way around it. 49ers are going to draft their way around that. Kittle might retire this offseason. Caffrey might retire this offseason. Trent Williams might retire this offseason. You're going to have Fred Warner back off of a major injury for the second time in 2 straight years. You say played on a broken ankle last year for the whole season. It's a team that's probably needs some more difference-making talents. Got guys like Michael Williams coming off major ACL injury. How healthy is he going to be next year? With Jake, they've got a little bit of a better roster as far as the shape overall, but still, Devontae Adams and Matt Stafford especially. That's a completely different looking team without Stafford there. You remove the MVP there, and it's like, not a bad team, but are they as much a Super Bowl contender? Well, it depends on who the quarterback is, exactly. Are they as likely to find a guy like Stafford and unearth him as like they have? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see if McVay's got that kind of eye to be able to locate it, but no certainty. It's not going to be easy, and they're about to have to pay a lot of guys a lot of money. Puka, Kobe Turner. Versus coming around the corner, Byron Young. Steve Avila. Punt by the Texans. They cannot seemingly take advantage of what their defense is getting done. They are just stuck in the mud right now. Got to be frustrating from a Texans perspective because you've just done such a good job of holding up this Steelers offense completely. 11 carries for 32 yards for the Steelers rushing attack. Rodgers 12 of 20 for 99 yards, not even 100 yards as we're almost through the third quarter here. But Steelers defense is holding up strong too. Got to give them credit. They're doing a good job. It's how the draft fits our team. Yeah. That's a big factor too, and how they look at it. Something John Snyder's always said that I thought is an interesting part about their drafting approach is they don't look at prospects and sort of measure them up in sort of the vacuum. You know, how good is this guy? Just purely, where's his projection go? Yeah, you know, they kind of, what do we look at historical markers for this player and where he'll be? I mean, I'm sure that's a bit of the process, but it's also them looking internally about measuring them up against what they have in-house. You know, is this guy better than what we have in-house? Is he likely overtake what we have in-house? I think they kind of add a little bit of that extra layer to it to help guide them a bit, which I think makes some sense. But that'll be a big part too on John as he sort of projects this stuff out for the players that'll be available there at 20 and which ones do fit the team. And that pushes to whether or not as well he's going to make a trade or not for a guy. He goes like, these are one of these 5 guys will be one of the 5 guys likely to be there when we pick in that first round. Am I sold on any of these guys? Another part of it too is you're making a big trade for a Crosby. Well, maybe it's a second first round pick. So then we start building in. Well, what about next year, which is supposed to be a draft that's going to maybe look a little bit stronger. Tough calls to make on this one. Not an easy position to necessarily be placed in. And probably also a little bit, John, as to why we've already moved our 4th and 5th round pick in the trade deadline deal for Shaheed. Ibre, thank you for the $10 donation, Ibre. He says, I've been listening to you all weekend while I watch the games. Makes for an excellent experience. Well, thank you for that, man. I'm trying to get better at this play-by-play stuff, and having these playoff games give me an opportunity to do it. I think we're going to try to do a little bit more of some of the regular season games next year here and there for some of the primetime games, maybe like a Monday night thing or something next year. We'll see how it goes with that. But thank you for watching throughout the weekend and listening on in. You guys have been just right there, steady with me by my side throughout this process this weekend and checking out all these games, going back to back. It's been a lot of fun and just what a great experience, right? To be able to sit back and just your team's got the first round bye. You're just watching all these teams duke it out and hellacious battles, and they're coming down the wire and nerves and, you know, seasons heartbroken and all that. It's a good feeling to be on this end of it. It really is. But thank you, Ibre. I appreciate you watching, man. And appreciate the $10 donation as well. Play action pass for Rodgers here on first down. He's looking to take a shot down the field, and he's got a guy. Gets it up top there. Extending for a first down catch. Maybe a shot in the arm here. Adam Thielen makes a nice catch there. He had to climb that ladder to go get that thing. DK eating up the coverage there, opening that play up. 1st and 10. 3 minutes and 4 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Rodgers, the company, are at the 45-yard line here in shotgun. Hand off to Warren. Warren, nope, play action. Good ball action there by Rodgers. They come back down on a little check down throw to Jonnu Smith, but Alshire is right there to bring him down for a negative 1 yard loss. Appreciate you, Ibre. Thank you, man. I'm very kind of you say. Always try and get better on this play-by-play if we can. I love doing it. Antoine, hey, Brandon, who would be the perfect raising the 12 flag this weekend? I mean, to me, it's kind of feels like Carroll would be the guy. That would be awesome if you could get him in here. You know, if he was the guy raising it, that would be pretty cool. Rodgers under pressure here on second down. He's almost sacked. Got to throw it away. Sorry, guys. Hike some trash here. Just a second. I'm going to go with Carroll will be fun, I think. Aside from that, I mean, the whole LOB is probably going to be there this weekend, just about. Be pretty cool to have them like collectively raise it, you know, while they're wearing dark side shirts. How does that sound? Ethan, Hawks Nest, Dante McMillan, running back out of Michigan State, went to high school with him. Have not looked at him yet. I will add him to the list. Dante McMillan. Well, I will take a look for sure. Any running backs you love besides Love, Brandon? Yeah, and I'm not the biggest Love guy. I do like him, but I'm not as much like the people get head over heels. I don't even have a first round grade on him. Yeah, there's some decent guys. There's some really good outside zone fit guys that have good explosiveness to the corner and that they got some burst to them, and maybe there's some missing of long speed here and there. But they do give you certain parameters that have tended to be enjoyed in the Mike, in the Kyle and Mike Shanahan type system. Coleman's obviously a lot of fun out of Washington for what he can bring as an inside presence. He's really not as much what you would look for with this outside zone system. So, an in cutting route there, man alive. in cutting route there to Nico Collins, and he's not able to make the completion, and he gets dropped right on his dome. He just has, I think he might have some concussion stuff going on. We had a concussion in our game, but his head hits that ground and it's like concussed. Oh, boy. Planted it right on the front. That's not good. That's not good at all. That one's not, yeah. Bet that the other has to buy tickets to the other's home game and then attend. Wasn't Mariota also a duck? Yes, he was. My nickname is Doc, my friend's group, so that's what it will be. Also, Haiti76, look up the reference. We'll take a look at Haiti 76. Fumble by Stroud again. Was that again off the snap? Roblox 8076. Ball got snapped there before CJ Stroud could be ready for it. And snapping, not on my bingo card of problems for the Texans today. They are having issues all over the place and just getting the snap right. 3rd and 15. Stroud's going to push this ball down the field, and he's got a man. Is that Kirk there? Big play down the field. Corner routes have been where it's at in this game for both teams. Big boy throws. That's more of a just crossing route that gets all the way in the corner. That's the pass pro holding up there for the Texans, because that's a long-ass developing route. Be able to have that thing be able to open up all the way back over there. Steelers just couldn't get any pressure. It's 3rd and 13. That's why you see a lot of times Mike bring up a stack box on 3rd and long like that to not let a chance to have that long developing play develop. But Roblox seems to be the 8076 reference I'm seeing there, Meg. Or it's a discography, one of the two. Or said we have to think of a way to get Mike in the hat. I don't think it's happening, man. Mike, we were approaching Mike with doing a hat bet in the Rams game, and we were talking about giving him like 23 points, and he was like, no. Not doing it. Couldn't get him there. Lando says, I've seen enough. Whoever's in the representative of the NFC in the Super Bowl is winning it. AFC is pretty trash. It ain't looking pretty right now. I'm telling you that. Trauma says, I put money on this game and CJ is not locking in. Boy, he is not. How do you have problems with snaps in a playoff game at this point? You don't have this fixed? Strange issue to come up in a game like this. I thought earlier nerves was a bit of it, but now it just keeps being a problem. Hawksnest seems like you're waiting for an intelligent conversation from your Niner fan hairstylist. How many lunches did you pack? I'll be waiting here for a moment. I might be here for a minute. That's true. I feel like it's only Niner fans that call it his name. Well, they did. And to your point, this text train I'm getting into, she's already gone to see chickens. So here we go. Texans defense trying to win this game on their own, that's for sure. DK had a bad drop, hasn't been targeted since. Rodgers is petty like that. He's Tom Petty. Oh, yeah. Marty McFly's skateboard deck. That's awesome. Rodgers is definitely a little strung tight there, Andy. He's wired. He's getting wired tighter and tighter with age. Brenny is T.J. Watt, another one we could have drafted? Yes. But T.J. Watt's also, and you knew this when you're drafting him, going to be an outside stand-up 3-4 linebacker. And we're running the 4-3 defensive end, put your hand in the dirt. So a guy that stands up as an outside linebacker edge and a wide 9, it's not going to be the same kind of player you're going to look for with a hand in the dirt defensive end that's going to be playing in a tighter technique, a tighter split of their technique to the offensive lineman. It's a different style of defense, different style of player. Some players are better at being able to put their hand in the dirt. Some players are better at getting a little more width off the line of scrimmage and standing up. And if you can do one, doesn't necessarily mean you can do another really well. Some guys can, but it's few and far between. Yeah, Mick, there definitely feels like a tangible difference between NFC and AFC right now. This is definitely shades of last night. Chris says, can walk into a sheep impression? Bah, ah, 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 bah, 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 bah. Nico Collins heading back to the locker room. And boy, he took a header. Literally. That front of his skull went right off the front of the turf. Hands pulled down as he's trying to reach in and hold on to the catch. Tough break for him, as I know we had a concussion earlier this year too. Those things can stack up. 2nd and 13. Stroud dropping back to throw. He comes back underneath here to Christian Kirk, and he'll make the reception. Kirk being the steadying force here for the Texans. People are asking about the running backs. Kona's maybe not a fit, but I do like him. Jadarian Price, Emmett Johnson, Justice Haynes, Nicholas Singleton, Michael Washington Jr. All guys I'd take 3rd, 4th round kind of range of things. All have their varying levels of fun. So he's asking me about running backs. Still getting into the class a bit, though. That's for sure. Third and 6. And Stroud tries to complete a back shoulder throw, and he is just not able to do it. Good coverage by Porter down there. It's kind of weird Stroud went to the back shoulder throw on that. He had some nice separation there off the release. He had a good half step there, and there was no safety help over the top. Why does Rodgers' helmet always look too big for his head? Because he's got that old helmet that they grandfathered in for just him, where the NFL changed the helmet laws to where you have to have this certain type of helmet. And of course, because he's Rodgers, he didn't want to do the new helmet. And he doesn't like the new helmet. He can't see out of it or whatever his stupid reason. And so he was able to be grandfathered. And if you're a player that had played with the old helmet, you could choose to use it. Kenny Easley's family should raise the flag. That's a great suggestion, Two Fingers. That would be timely. That'd be good. I'd be okay with that. Rodgers with the I give up fumble. He's been, it just feels like, in partial retirement mode mentality-wise for a couple of years now. He just kind of keeps going on despite it a little bit. Cal Raleigh wouldn't be bad. I think Cal's already raised the flag this year, though. Kim would go there strapped. Too soon. Too soon. Too soon. Largen would be a good one. Can we get Bobby to raise the flag? That'd be pretty tight. Yes, if somebody needs to send John a Dark Side t-shirt, he'd wear it. You know he would. And he says, I want Kemp to raise the flag and hand out pouches of weed. Get the whole stadium just blitzed for the game. Hawks Nation, Steelers win tonight. Ratings higher for Steelers Pats Sunday night. So that mean Hawks 49ers Saturday night. If Texans win, then Rams Bears will get Sunday night, and Hawks Niners will get Saturday noon. That makes sense. I could see the logic behind that. I dig the Hawks. Brandon, do you have any info on Emmett Johnson from Nebraska? I haven't seen any tape, but his stats impress me. Yes, they do. I still haven't gotten all my notes memorized, so when I'm going through here on some of these guys, I'm still having to go back and take a look at notes to make sure I can remember all my stuff. 5'11", 200 pounds, running back with a particular skill set, like I've talked about in this draft. I'm going to say that about a lot of these guys, but a nice one. He is a little on the lighter side at 200 pounds there, so it's like listed 200, probably like 192. Emmett's a quick with elite lateral change of direction burst and good vision, a big play machine with 36 runs of 10 yards or more this past year. He reads it and can flip his hips and explode from the directed hole in an efficient manner. Good burst, above average speed overall for the position. He uses a spin move, both off hard hit potential tackles and just able to finish the run in the scrum. So he's really good about elongating a run an extra couple of yards with his spin move. Like you hammer him and he sort of spins off. We saw Chubb do this early in the game where he gets downhill really hard and fast, and he's going 100 miles an hour, and some guy comes up and cracks him, and he kind of bounces off and spins off the crack and then still able to come back and fall forward more. And he can do that both in that way where it's a crack or where guys are just kind of dragging him down and he's keeping his feet, and then he finds a way to kind of engage this spin move to sort of allow him to spin around and get a little bit more yards. Strong as a pass catcher out of the backfield, capable of lining up as a receiver comfortably, but best used in the passing game as a running back, running back routes, not really as a receiver. He can do it. 1st and 10 here for the Steelers. 10-6 Texans after a made field goal extends the lead a little bit. A little counter action out of shotgun here to Gainwell, and he'll get a nice gain on the play for the Steelers. Might be their biggest run of the day. He's capable of hitting the home run, but he's not looking for it on every play. His vision allows him to make the choice, the right choice for the right run. He can break a tackle in a closet with his elusiveness, but not a run-through contact tackle breaker type. So interesting. He can break it with the kind of make you miss, but once you get your hands on him, it's game, set, match, and partly because of the fact that he isn't as heavy as some of the backs. Just you can kind of bring a little bit of the lighter as a feather kind of thing going on with him there. Rodgers in 1st and 10 here from the 45-yard line. He's going to flip it off his back foot, throw it up there for Austin. Did Austin catch that thing? He tipped it up to himself, fell down. Actually, Lassiter tipped it. Nope. Nice job by Austin to try to sell it. Boy, does it speak to a lack of faith in DK Metcalf that you're trying to throw this deep stuff down the field to, or maybe it's just the fear of Stingley. I can't tell. 2nd and 10. 12-14 to go in the 4th quarter. Steelers need to get this offense in gear. This is over. They don't have any feel for anything right now. Last notes on Emmett Johnson. When he flips his hips, he can change direction like it's his superpower. But if he's trying to change his direction without the hips fully flipped, there's kind of a scooting effect where it takes a bit for him to stop and reverse field or change direction. So he has to kind of engage that hip flip right to make it work. But when it does, it's nasty. Lack of size, lack of top end speed on the guy restricts him from probably being, and we've got a crazy pass rush there. 2 guys get home for the Texans, fumble, they pick up the ball, they're going to go run this in for a touchdown, and that will be game over if they do so. No doubt about that. Rodgers standing in the pocket, waiting, and the pressure just bearing in around his blind side. Not aware of it, not feeling it, holding the ball for too long, staring down the field for too long, nowhere to go. Strip sack fumble by the Texans, and they have single-handedly won this game, really. You got one long drive by the Texans, but absent that, it's been on them. And nice little game being run there by the Texans on that play. Rodgers just... Touchdown will stand. And the extra point's up. 17-6 is the score. Texans look like they're going to take this game. Wasn't anything exotic. They ran. They stacked 3 guys to one side, Anderson the other. They brought one of the guys back underneath to his side on the formation post snap, but guard just got bent in half. So where Steelers just can't be in that third and long I talked about earlier in this game. They haven't had the pass pro all year. Just hasn't held up for them. And, of course, that's not a good sign when you're going up against a Texans team that can rush the passer like they can. It's tough, too, because that's where good pass rushes is not just one guy getting home and everybody just kind of takes their turn to be the one guy getting home. Good pass rush, you get multiple guys there at once. Hell of a time to come in with a rush like that at this time of game and force that play to happen. But Texans, you got to give them props, man. They made this happen. Emmett, I've got him in the late third or fourth round area, addicted. So I do like him, but that's kind of rare because of those limitations. There, a little bit of the lock-in speed, a little bit of the size. Now Steelers got a lot of work to do. Texans could use A.J. Brown. Yeah, they could. Oh, this game's a clown show. Because I believe in the IRA theory of the playoffs. Anyone can be killed. It's true. Very true. These teams are in it for a reason at this point. And there's no dog walking. You can have games you win comfortably, but you're going to earn it. Earn this. Megan, thank you for the $5 donation. Hades is the lord of the underworld. 76 year. Was the year I was born. Ah, okay. That makes sense. Rodgers off his back foot, throwing the deep here to Fairmouth. Nobody home. I like it. 80-76. Okay, that makes a little more sense there, Megan. Thank you for the dono. 80-76. The Warhammer guy. Thank you for the $2 dono. Roommate of mine is a Pittsburgh fan. Feels like us with Coach Carroll. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of similarities between Coach Carroll and Tomlin. And I think some of it also is just the natural life cycle of a coach in a given place, in a given program. Carroll has acknowledged this. John's talked about this. I think that this is just very much an inherent truth within football. Quick snap here by Rodgers. He's going to throw this up and complete this to Fairmouth, who makes a pretty incredible catch there to reach up as high as he did to get that in. Wow. Not an easy catch there. The game kind of on the line. You have player-friendly coaches, first and foremost, what they have in common. The defensive-minded coaches, secondly, what you have in common. Guys that are in the spot a little bit, maybe, too long. And that, like I say with Carroll or like I say with Shiner, when they talk about a coach being in place with a life cycle, it's that you've got a 10-year run there where you got 10 years to kind of get the job done. And some coaches can last longer. There are going to be exceptions to the rules, but it does pretty much hold fast to almost every coach across the board. And with both Carroll and Tomlin, they do feel like beyond just maybe deficiencies in their coaching game at this point, it more just kind of comes down to just, Jesus, Aaron. Aaron just cannot move anymore. He steps through traffic and he's just waiting to trip over a bush. I think the sprinkler system guy from the Buffalo Wings commercial got him there. Climbing the pocket, and you just fall down. Buddy. 2nd and 13. 9:46 to go here in the third quarter. Ball just on the other side of the 50-yard line. Rodgers flips his hips, looking for DK Metcalf, can't find him. DK, buddy. You got to reel one of those in eventually, don't you? 3rd and 13. Rodgers hit again as he throws, incomplete, and the game is down to this. The game is down to this. They're going to punt. Steelers decide they're going to punt here down by 2 scores with 9:29 to go in the fourth quarter. And the Texans are averaging 5.5 yards per carry today on 22 carries.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Good luck on this one, man. I got distracted there, and Daniel W. is also asking about whether the Steelers would move on from Mike Tomlin with this. I think that you look at the situation to me, and you can get caught up in the things of with Mike going, well, his defenses, he's supposed to be a defensive head coach, but his defenses aren't particularly good. And his offense doesn't seem to have any kind of identity. And it's been a long time since they've won a playoff game. If they're going to lose this one, as it appears that they're going to lose, I don't think they've got a playoff win since 2017. I think when you've got a coach that you're looking at within your organization and you're saying, we haven't gotten a playoff win since 2017, you've been with the team for well over 10 years, I think that these are the earmarks of it being time to try to reset it anew. And it doesn't always have to necessarily mean it's exactly just all on Tomlin's fault or that it's his failure that's causing this. It's just like it was with Carroll at the end. You kind of more come to it and you go, look, it's not about who's the failing. It ain't working. The combination ain't working. We don't got the ingredients right. And I think that with Tomlin, a fresh stop, a new place, certainly being able to pair him maybe to a spot where he can actually have a legitimate quarterback to maybe work with, where that is off of his plate and he has to think about it anymore and he can just concentrate on the other stuff that he needs to concentrate on. Maybe some of it also, as we try to get into the nuance of it, can be that, hey, you needed to, bear with me 1 second here, folks. But some of this also comes back to the nuanced place too of it being where, he's got some things in his game that's not grown with time and defense isn't playing as well. And what is some of this come back from maybe some of your lack of growth and what this has gone on that side of the ball? It's like it's got a little stale, a little bit moldy over there. It's kind of like all of that together. But the bottom line is this is football and things move fast and things turn over and you have to roll with those punches and embrace it. It's part of this sport. And whether that's a player that can't last as long in his career as you might see in a basketball, baseball type situation, or whether that's a coach that has only that 10-year period of life cycle and then he's got to go to the next stop. This happened with Andy Reid with the Eagles. And, we saw with him that moving to the next team didn't mean that was the end for him. You can find it. You can be reborn. This happened with Dick Vermeil. Came up just short with the Eagles, like Andy Reid in the late 70s, early 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the Rams in the 80s. And then was able to find the promised land when he got to the in the 90s. But it does feel like that's kind of where it's at this point. It does feel like it is kind of time. I will say that it can't help the Steelers situation on this one where they're looking at it. We got a completion here to Higgins for a first down. Clock will keep running. It can't help when you're looking at there being already 8 head coaching openings in the league, and you're gonna pull the can opener open on the 9th. You're like, all right, well, we're gonna replace Tomlin. Great, let's replace him with who? Who's wanting to come up here? Who's the great coach we're going to get in as the replay? Who's going to be the improvement on him? Heavy formational look here from the Texans. They're going to ram Nick Chubb in there. And they're just trying to grind on this clock as they can. Feel bad for your guy. It's probably going to take a bit of time on this Steelers team. I think the big issue with them beyond whether it's Tomlin or not is the problem, whether they got to move on from him or not. The big problem with the Steelers team is that they're highly reactionary. And that we see that the teams in this sport that come in every year and they become highly reactionary rather than actually having a plan and a vision and an approach are those teams that you might build a team that wins a little bit more than that loses. You might get around 500, but you're not getting to greatness. You're not getting to contention. The Atlanta Falcons had to learn the same lesson. Another handoff here to Chubb, about a 3 or 4 yard runoff tackle. Bring them back to a third down, and that clock keeps on rolling. Big wheel keep on rolling. I'll never keep on rolling. Interesting decision. Also remember with the Steelers, it's a team that's very unique in how they move at the head coaching position. They have had, in my lifetime, I've seen 3 coaches with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They do not move quickly off their coaches. They take their time. 3rd and 4. Completed underneath here, wide open. And that's got to be game right there. Christian Kirk having a hell of a game here for the Texans. He gets freed. Nobody's near him from the Steelers, and he's just running wild down the field. That is it. Game over right there. They can wind this thing down to 4 minutes now. Steelers can't do nothing about it. Little drag route underneath. Just easily exposing the Steeler defense there. Nothing intricate that you're running. And pressure not able to get home. Guys are trying like mad to get back there to Stroud, but just he's got a nice clean pocket to set up from. They get a couple of good runs on first down, so it's a 3rd and short there. And that is it. Randall McDaniel, thank you for the $2 donation. Rather have Murphy or Will Anderson? Both wreckers. I mean, hard to say on that, Randall. I think Will Anderson is going to rise up into being this next, great pass rushers that take in the sport and are those guys up around 17, 18 sacks a year and play great run defense, and they're just an incredible problem off the edge. He's rising up to become that. I think he built more upon that this year, and so he's that guy. Byron Murphy's kind of the equivalent of that guy for a defensive tackle position, and we still don't know what you might get productivity-wise from him if you gave him more snaps into 3-tech, and now he's getting more of the one-on-one blocks. So there's a little bit of that question mark that does exist there with Murphy as far as still some potential even upside beyond what we've seen that's been so good. Probably pretty equivalent with each player. Maybe Will Anderson a little bit, but that's just because I think Will's going to become that, he is going to be that Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt for a while here kind of guy off that edge. Is Murphy going to be able to supply that same level of impact from the defensive tackle position, especially from the nose tackle position? I don't know, but it's close for me. It ain't an easy pick. Murphy's future is very bright, and I could certainly be talking and taking him over that, and especially for the versatility he can give you playing both nose tackle and 3-tech. Anderson's really just an outside edge. That's what he's going to bring. You can't really kick him even inside on passing downs. And we got another first down here for the Texans. So they're gonna put a button on this thing here. They're deep into Steelers territory, and this game is over. Randall, thank you for another $2 donation. John Harbaugh, a Steeler if they whack Tomlin. Harbaugh to the Steelers. Not likely. The reason would be this. I mean, on the surface of it, I do like Randall, and certainly Harbaugh, mentality-wise, has a lot of stuff that fits to what the Steelers like from a lineage perspective. The big issue that I'm hearing potentially with Harbaugh that's going to be probably troublesome for a lot of those teams out there in the sport right now, Cardinals are certainly in this area of things if they're looking at him, is cost. Harbaugh is reportedly asking for $20 million per year. Harbaugh supposedly wants to hire his own general manager. Harbaugh wants another $10 million allocated for his staff that he wants to build. That to me is one where a Steeler team that's not the most cash-rich type of team ain't going to do that. Cardinals, they ain't going to do that. Probably a few teams out there that would really be willing to fully do that, to be honest with you. It's kind of bold of him to ask for that much. And maybe he doesn't get 20, maybe it's only 15. Maybe it's not 10 for the staff, maybe it's 8. Maybe he doesn't get to hire his general manager, but he gets a list of 3 guys to pick from, right? Something like that. But that's still going to make it harder for a Steelers team that has their way of going about their business and set in the ways they do things that's not outside the box in that fashion. Brandon McDaniel, thank you for the $2 donation. 10 sacks in the middle equals 13 off the edge. Collapse the pocket. Yeah, kind of. And that's where if I thought Will Anderson's future was in the spot of just staying around 13 and where we're looking at the projection to go, I'd be like, well, you'd go more to Murphy on that point. If we're talking about him pushing into more of that 17 to 20-ish range and that's the level of pressure and sack, and knowing again with Will, he is a complete defender too. He's a really good run defender in addition to that. So when you put that all kind of together in the bag for me on that's where it gets a little bit harder. And a lot of this comes back to just the difficulty within this, where we have 2 players that are still so young that they haven't quite gotten to the full ceiling, top end state of what they will be. Randall to make the determination on that question. But you could talk me into Byron. I wouldn't be a hardliner on this one with Will Anderson. I could completely be sold on Murphy being the better option in those 2, presumptively. Absolutely. Randall with another $2 donation, man. Appreciate all the support. Plus, John's a bit old for Pittsburgh. They'll want a long-term guy. Another good point. Another very good point. Yeah, I would estimate that they would hire, and especially because you think that these organizations are going to look a little bit towards, and Woody Marks is going to put the pin in the button on this one and rush it through here for a touchdown, put this game away. Steelers are done. Their energy's cooked here, so this will definitely put this game away. That's another great point, though. The last 2 hires you've had, which have been fantastic hires from a Steeler perspective. Bill Cowher, very young coach that you hired at that time, not the most tested. And then Tomlin, young guy at that time, not the most, tested guy as far as, been in the sport for a long time as a coach before coming to a head coach. And so I would think that the Steelers would probably try to take that kind of pathway with it. They also seem to really favor the defensive-minded head coaches. Cowher more known for what he does defensively. Tomlin defensively, right? So probably as well they go to something like that. Who it is, that's the hard thing to guess here, where there's not a lot of great defensive coaches out and about there. Maybe you got like Robert Saleh could make some sense. But this also comes in around to, would they still go down all the way at the line on this of like, Steelers have such a hard lineage on defense where it's all 3-4 defense, Blitzburgh, right? Like it's all, they've got a certain style of and scheme of defense they play. So Saleh comes in with this 4-man wide 9 fronts. Would they be willing to do that? But I kind of feel like an established, defensive kind of minded guy they'd bring in there considering their past history. And to your point, probably a younger guy. Makes a lot of sense. John's probably going to want to try to go to a place that I think is going to be cooked up a little bit, ready to go more roll too. That's where I keep coming back to the Falcons on that one, making a lot of sense. They'd have the money. They got the roster in a pretty good space. I haven't had a chance to take a look at Dan Villari at this point yet. So I'll definitely add him to my list, Ty. If you can ask maybe around the next show, I'll try to take a look at him. Trying to get through a couple a day if I can right now. Definitely looks like Aaron Rodgers is going to need to retire. Can't see him thinking he should come back another year. Rodgers' Achilles tripped him up. Oh, man. Rodgers pulls a Favre and goes to the Vikings. Well, that would complete his Favre arc at that point, to your point on that. And he has been maybe quietly trying to get that done. Brady says, not to discredit the defense, but Pittsburgh's offense is horrendous. It's awful. Awful, 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 awful offense. Just no identity. You're talking about an offense is just, and I thought Arthur Smith would have more of a running game put together than this. I mean, 13 carries, 44 yards. You've been behind a little bit in this game. I get that, but this has been rough offensive performance. Alberto, I'm 50-50. Both defenses suck. Both offenses are good. Oh, you're talking about the Bears-Rams game. I think this Texans defense is going to be a problem for that Pats offense. A little bit different than what they faced the Chargers. And they didn't have an easiest time in that Charger defense. That's right. Murphy's still 23. Still don't quite know where the ceiling's at with guys that are this young. Daniel, thoughts on adding Dexter Lawrence next year? He's going to our game watch Leonard Williams this week. He's 30. Might be expensive trade. First or a second and a future third. You're definitely giving up a first. No doubt about that. Probably a little bit more. So you're in the right realm on about first and third. I don't really think I could see how they would do that, because you're going to basically try to turn Byron Murphy into a backup at that point, because there's only 2 starting spots at any one time. And you can flip in and out Leonard Williams a little bit with Byron Murphy and a little bit with Dexter Lawrence. And maybe there's enough to find 3-way snaps there that makes sense. And that's the road to go. And I could maybe be talked into that if I can kind of be walked through a little bit on the snap functionality of this. Like, how do we not end up with a really talented guy not getting enough rips because the other guys are out there? So, he's a fun player, but it is a little bit of adding to a position of already a pretty maximized strength, Daniel, especially when you throw on top of it Riley Mills, who you still have Jaron Reed under contract for another year. I don't mind adding it, but I think that there's other guys and other ways to add onto this team to make it more better improved, rather than sort of adding onto a strength like that. Like, how much further can you add beyond onto this strength than what it is? You're going to make it 5% better than what it was collectively with them there, 6% better. Versus, let's say, going out there and finding maybe a lockdown corner that can, be a significant improvement over there. Let me some Creedence Clearwater Revival, man. Devin, I don't think the Seahawks will underestimate the Niners on Saturday either. I think the fact this is the division game kind of shakes that from being a real possibility. Hawks Nation says this means Hawks will be playing Saturday, 1 p.m. Here we go. Crowd better be ready. Better be lit. Better be juiced to the nines. Friendly Steelers waste one playoff game every year. They come in with the worst kind of football to snooze us with 3 hours of nothing. Boy, this was an awful game. Woo! This was a bad one, Friendly. And you're not wrong. Ravens would have been better. DK could be the best receiver in the game if he had fingertips. Another game with DK where I think you do get 5 targets, 2 catches, 42 yards, a couple of drops. It's on plays where it's just like you got 2 hands there, and just at this point it is what it is with him, where it comes and it goes. And I love DK, but I mean some of these catches in this game early on this game could have gone significantly different. And you can't tell me the Steelers right now, as this game finishes up, don't have some buyer's remorse in regards to making that trade and spending that money. And I don't get it. I don't get how that doesn't develop or come a little bit more forward in your game. And maybe just this is where we can look at scouting and looking at these kind of players and going, look, hands matter. And if you can catch in college and that's a great skill you got, that's something to project forward. And if you struggle a little bit with it, and you, as I like to use the scouting terms, fighting your hands on the catch, that's probably going to carry over too. Or 12 Rodgers. Receivers can't catch, Rodgers can't move. Might as well punt. Tristan Rodgers screams his O-line all the time, wonders why they don't try. Oh, you guys are great. Keon Lund, thank you for a $5 donation. Keon, this game reminds me of 5 Hawk games this year. Ugly first half, followed by a 22-point win. Quietly dominant win. It's great reference, great comparison. I think I agree. I think that, you look at the two greatest defenses in this league, I think by far this year, it's the Seahawks and the Texans. And third and fourth place are probably a little bit distant. And this is what a great defense can do for you, is that they can hold the line like this. They can shut an offense down. They can completely give them no wiggle room whatsoever. They can make them feel like they got to make great plays just to get down the field time and time again. You can beat up on them physically. And then you get into the second half, and that's starting to wear them down, and you've taken the run game away from them, and now you can really press down, and now maybe hopefully your offense finds some of its final footing there to kind of put it into gear. And this is it's an ugly game overall, but this was a sound game from the Texans and how they played it to get the job done. Would have been an even bigger win for them if they had learned, didn't have problems with snapping the football in this freaking game as that popped up. But I love the comparison, man. I agree with you. Definitely had a feeling of a Hawk win this year from a Texans perspective and how they kind of poured this thing on and got this ugly quick. But that it did also take a little bit in the second half, especially for the Hawks in the back half of their schedule, Keon. Love it, man. Yeah. Thank you for the dono. Randall McDaniel, thank you for the $2 donation, Randall. Saturday game time coming here soon. We should hear soon. I think we're all expecting 1:30. Probably 1:30 will be the time, as that's been what's been kind of leaking out around the edges of this one, and I would expect that's how they're going to have this roll. So probably 1:30 on Saturday. Robs, thank you for the $2.79 donation, Robs. Sad way to see Rodgers go out, man. Bye-bye, Tomlin. Yeah, I think Tomlin's going to have a hard time on this, just like we saw with Harbaugh having a hard time with this, where they're at. Guys that are maybe a little bit on the line with the ownership about whether they were going to remain or not, and then you have a really bad ending with you being on that line, and it's enough to push you over to the other side to getting you clipped. And that does kind of feel like on the surface of it, maybe just in the moment, maybe it's just because it's such a bad loss, but it does feel a little bit in the moment with Tom and like, okay, it's little boys to men, now that we've come to the end of the road. With Rodgers, sad to see him go out this way for sure. I would point to you that this is the problem of ego. And you're hearing already some stories with Lamar Jackson with the Ravens on this front, and that the ego grows with time with a quarterback. Year after year, it just seems to, if you're a really great player for a long period of time, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you suddenly look back 8 years and it's become almost a monster unto itself. And Rodgers didn't have to have it be that way, in my opinion, with his end there in Green Bay. I think that he leaned into the drama. He leaned into the spectacle. He leaned into the diva-ness of the quarterbacking at the time. And I think ultimately that robbed him of a better end of his career. And I think that he's not the only one, that there's a few quarterbacks in this generation of QBs that have had to go down this road a bit. And unfortunately with Rodgers, it is sad to see, but it is also that you don't have anyone else to blame really but yourself on this one. And, the way you carry yourself matters. The way you treat people matters. The way you go about your business matters. How much of a pain in the ass you are or not matters. It's great being great. It's great watching you out there doing what you're doing, but, there's other things that factor into this too as well. And tough finish for him. Hall of Famer. One of the great arm talents we've ever seen in this sport. One of the easiest throwing motions you'll ever see, for what he could really generate off the back of it with that. We're going to have a generation of quarterbacks that throw with 2 feet off the ground. A lot of them here coming up that watch Rodgers play and took that example, that style that he kind of developed within that. That's football for you too, though. The end usually is never graceful. Taker 610. Thank you for the $2 donation, Taker. The NFC West has 3 of the 4 remaining playoff spots. How about that? Huh? How about that? 3 of the 4 remaining playoff spots in the NFC. They belong to the NFC West. And that's pretty cool. We thought with the record, we thought with the point differentials that existed in this division that it was by far the best division in football. And the playoffs have proven this to be true. And I think within that, as I say, when we watch these playoffs and we watch things play out, you watch this play out between the Steelers and Texans today and the things that popped up for the Steelers here that helped them to lose this game. You know, you have a solid enough defense, but you have an offense with no identity. Kind of end of story at that point. You have a Charger team that doesn't have an offensive line that was built for their offensive line to carry the load. Can't carry the load. It's on Herbert. Herbert can't carry the load without an offensive line. Kind of gets to be just as simple as that. These things carry over from the regular season, even for these teams that had success. And I think that should give you even more confidence for our Hawks and for where we are and for what should we be able to be carried over from our own regular season into this round of the playoffs. That it is something that you have built consistently, that has consistently just been able to just go along game in and game out and be there, this model, this blueprint that you've kind of set up. And a lot of reason to think that you can continue to do that. A lot of reason to believe you'll be a strong enough team to go out there and go and take this Super Bowl. Because as we can see across this whole sport with these playoffs we've watched over the last 3 days, it's wide open, baby. It's any man's game. There is no Titan. And if there is maybe one Titan, if you got to pare down to one, you got to really go point to one. I'm not talking Denver Broncos here. It's your Seattle Seahawks. If you really had to pin down to one. So as I say with this, why not us, right? Why not us? Robs, thank you for the $7 donation, Robs. Really appreciate you for that as well. I'm still lost on the fact that the Packers want to resign LaFleur. He managed that game terribly, has not shown much, but being okay. Thoughts? Well, number one, I agree with a lot of what you had to say there. So I wouldn't push back against a lot of what you're saying, and thank you for your double dono, man. So on the surface of this, first and foremost, I think there's some good criticism that can be thrown LaFleur's way and some of that management of the game there and how he's gone about his business with that. I would reckon and guess that if I'm peeking into the ownership room and the front office of the Packers and them talking about this situation, I think the reason that they would give him a pass and re-sign him would be that they would say, well, he's an offensive-minded head coach. He, in the playoffs, in this game, had our offense doing really well. And if anything on this game, his mismanagement of things at times notwithstanding, that this game was lost because our defense couldn't hold their water. And our defense couldn't hold their water because the defense isn't good enough. And with LaFleur, he doesn't control our front office and he doesn't dictate our drafting. He's separate of that. He can't be held to account on that. This is a problem that we knew and acknowledged and understood when we went out there and traded for Micah Parsons. That trade was made, with you trying to take advantage of the Cowboys letting a guy like this on the market, yes, and having that opportunity, but it's also made because you don't trust your pass rush and because you looked at the pass rush last year and said that it's woefully underperforming and Lucas Van Ness is not developing enough and Rashawn Gary's solid, but he's not great. And we don't have anything from the interior of the line that's given us much, and Clark's starting to wind down as a player. And so you come back there on that one, you go, okay, so we made this grand trade for Parsons because we knew he hadn't done enough for the defense to help LaFleur out. And now Parsons goes out and the defense without Parsons fails LaFleur. Now, how do we hold LaFleur account for that? I think that they can still at the same time, to your point on this, back to your original point on this, you can certainly come back to him and say there's some things within what you've done here we don't like necessarily. But you also come back and go, man, he had this with lead with 21-3 and our defense just couldn't keep it locked in. They couldn't find an answer for Chicago. So I don't know if and let me say in that too, Robs, I don't know if I fully agree with their outlook of it from a Green Bay's perspective on LaFleur there and feeling like, that's just a valid kind of simplified approach to apply to it and saying, we didn't do good on defense. We got him this fix, but then the fix went down to an injury. The injury is certainly not LaFleur's fault. And so this basically ugly way our team could go this year as a possibility went that way outside of his control. So thus we got to bring him back because we didn't take care of our business. And I think that that's where there is some validity within that, where if you're going to let a coach go, Robs, you want it to be under the auspice that you as a front office did everything to put them in a position to find success. And that there's no part of this process you can look back on your own self and say, we failed him. And I think this is important for the same reason that we see quarterbacks thrown out the door constantly for failing in their first stop, and then their first stop being put in positions that are precarious and set up for failure. So you got to apply the same modeling onto coaches. And I think the Packers are doing that here now. It doesn't mean LaFleur is maybe the best coach long-term for them there. I think also there's a part of this too, as I said with Tomlin, and this could affect the Tomlin situation, that you want to fire a coach. I think ideally you'd like to look across the league and there's 4 teams that have fired coaches this year. We got a bevy of great candidates to pick from. When I start getting to 8 coaches that have been fired, I might have to be scraping that bottom of that well to go find me a valid candidate that's good, especially this year where we got Saleh, who's coached before, and Stefanski and Harbaugh, which are kind of the 3 names of guys that have done it before and had some somewhat of success. But then it gets pretty lean after that, and you're looking at really coordinators and guys that have never been coaches before, and that becomes a bit of the part of this process that maybe it shouldn't, Robs, but is okay, what is the alternative? Who is the improvement upon what we have here and who we bring in? Or are we just making a change to make a change? And we don't really have a lot of trust in the fact this coordinator will be that guy, or that this first stop will be a bumpy one, his first stop, because he's got to learn the ropes. A lot to kind of weigh in on these decisions when it comes down to this. And I think the Packers and Steelers are both in a bit of that predicament. I can understand where the Packers bring back LaFleur, because I think that there's another part of this too, where he didn't draft Jordan Love. And I don't know that it's his fault Jordan Love can't get through 2 and 3 reads on a given play. It might be a part of his problem. I'm not sure it's his problem. It might be a Love problem. And if you're a Packer ownership group, maybe you're looking at both of those 2 things, Robs, and you're like, all right, didn't put a good defense together. And the quarterback we drafted to pair him with is one that he's able to get a lot of success out of, but is also a quarterback with some limitations to his play. There's a lot there on that Packer thing there, Robs. I think there's a lot there you got to kind of wade through. Randall McDaniel, thank you for the $5 donation, Randall. Prime Rodgers threw the prettiest ball I've ever seen. Too young to see prime Marino. Rodgers could just wrist flick on a rope. Deadly accurate. Hated him on Green Bay. Yeah, I think it's probably Marino or him are probably the best pure arm talents in NFL history. And with Marino, I think it was amazing because Marino was just up and out with the throwing motion, unlike I've ever seen, where a guy like that the ball's coming up in that manner where there's no windup whatsoever. It should not be able to generate that kind of velocity on a ball. And it would just come out of his hands just, whoosh, he could generate both the velocity and the accuracy. And with it being so quick out of his hands, he was just so hard to sack because of it. Rodgers from a different kind of style and mold of how he throws it, but similar, man. Just beautiful ball. Comes out of the hand perfect, crispy, tight, spiral. Can, make every throw in the book. Can do a little bit like we see with Stafford at times. I call bending the bullet. You can kind of bend the trajectory of the football in air as you throw it to kind of have it landing in at just that right spot to your receiver's arms and not giving the cornerback always a way to make a play on it. And then, could throw it a country mile on top of it. He was a hell of a quarterback, man. Hell of a quarterback. And the fact that he developed that throwing motion post-college too. Very few quarterbacks in the sport have ever been able to rechange their whole throwing motion after they're out of college. Usually by that point, it's pretty locked in. Look at Tim Tebow. However you throw coming out of college, how you're going to throw in the pros. I mean, Rodgers in 3 years completely reinvented that throwing motion. Or maybe not reinvented, but just had to change it mightily to get it refined like he did. Addis the Gamer, thank you for the $5 donation, Addis. Appreciate all of you guys' support today. Can't wait for Saturday. Whoever takes 12 is 1. Need the crowd to crank up to 112. That's decibels. Whatever it takes, beat those whiners. Go Hawks. He also has got another $2 donation. Says the defense is the definition of the dark side. Indeed it is. And if you are in that stadium echoing what Addis has said, I'm going to say it all week. You're going to hear me say it a bunch. Going in that stadium, somebody going in that stadium. bring your A game like we want our Hawks to bring their A game. Don't walk in there just sitting quietly, standing quietly, eating too much food, not paying enough close attention, not being engaged in the game. Be engaged. Be on every breath. Just be sitting there right on the edge of your seat looking at the action and participating within that action, being as loud as you can. I want a reinvention of this stadium here, this playoffs, to where we give them back that old 112 decimal spirit, where we go back and we show the Niners, this ain't a regular season game over the past couple of years where you're able to kind of partially take over the stadium and thusly with it reduce down some of that volume. No. You're getting the full meal deal this week. We're cracking down on season ticket holders trying to resell. We're getting a full house this week. Prepare yourself. And if you are a fan going to that stadium, somebody going to that stadium, let them know. Remind them what time it is. Don't just take for granted that they know what time it is. Remind them. Your voice should be blown out post-game. Your ears should be blown out post-game. And if you did that, you did your job, and this team's going to get the win, I'm telling you. But it's going to take that. 12 as 1. That's right, Addis. 12 as 1. True Dad Blue, thank you for the $5 donation. Sounds like we got an update here on the schedule. On the schedule here. Do we got an update on the divisional round? And we do. Looks like, according to him on this, that he says, I'm glad we got the 5 p.m. slot for Saturday. We're going to get loud and wild. Ooh, it's going to get woolly. It's going to get wild. And I'm going to be here for it. So is that what we got? All the rumors said we got the early game. We're wrong. So it does sound like you are correct on that. Thank you, True Dad, for the $5, man. And thank you for the update on that. So I prefer that time. I like that time. Give those fans to 5 o'clock to get nice and sloshy there. You know what I mean? Nice and raucous and wild in the bars, just waiting, toast tapping, beer after beer going back. You want to do a shot? I'll do a shot. You going to do a shot? I'll do a shot. Let's do a shot. There's guys walking into that stadium on red. On red. And I'm not talking Niner red here. I'm talking blood red. Let's go, True Dad. I like that 5 p.m. slot better than the 1:30. I do too. Give those fans a little more time to lock on in. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, John the Jeff Tefford ball at the ear crab. What a weird motion that was for a while. That was a thing for a while. Yeah, Rodgers did have one of the all-time hard counts too. Another point, great point. As says, man, if you're going in there, be loud. Don't go in there quiet. Don't go in there to eat food. Don't go in there to be looking at it on your phone. This is a rare experience that you're getting to have, and you don't have to be in that stadium. This isn't church on saying I got to be in there. I have to do it, so I'll do it because they're forcing me to. No one's forcing you to. You ain't ready to bring that spirit, take it to somebody who will. We need the fans in the spirit. We need the fans in the stadium. We need to show this team why this is the number one home field advantage, why they can count on us, why they can rely on us to help give them that juice, to help give them that one little extra advantage. Jack Scott Stafford losing. He's in the North for years. He's not intimidated by weather, but the Rams will still lose. It's true. He's played a lot in Chicago. It's a good point. Hawks Nest, let's watch the Pats get bounced by a real defense. I could see it. That Texans team, a lot of people had to look going to the Super Bowl, and I think rightfully so for how good that defense is. They're right there step for step with us. Right there step for step. We got Devin with a couple of $5 donations back to back. I think you meant to only post one, but it hit you twice. Sorry that it did that to you there, Devin. I wish I could, pop you back a refund on one as it hit you twice on the $5 drop. But he says, thank you, Hawks Nest. Always enjoy your content and appreciate your consistent hard work. Go Hawks. I love what I get to do, Devin. You guys are very, very kind here. Those that donate are members oftentimes or patrons oftentimes, in addition to that. And it's just this weekend, you guys were overflowing in your support and your love, and all you guys show me my way of it. And it's really appreciated. You guys give me that energy and keep me always laughing and keep me always going, and not just talking donations. I'm talking about this chat and this community and It was a fun 3 days here doing this with you guys, being able to check out this wild card round and be able to just kind of relax and enjoy this season for what it's been. We've been doing this channel for 6 years, and we've not had the chance to really get this kind of year to really get to enjoy it like this. Have a dominant team, have a contending team, have a team that really is coming together and you can see the plan and you can see the potential, and it doesn't feel like you're talking yourself into it, but it feels true, it feels right, it feels real. And it's been awesome to experience it with you guys here this year and through these years and building up to this. Everyone is ready for it. Everyone is going to savor this. We've savored this past week. This is going to be a great game. We've got a storybook season in the midst for your Seattle Seahawks. That's what you got right now. You got a year that came out of nowhere that no one saw coming. You got a team no one saw coming. You had a team that had to play almost a perfect brand of football down the stretch, couldn't lose any game to get this number one seed, had to win every single time coming off the Ram game. They did so. They had to take down their big rivals to do so in the Niners and 49ers. And now they have to take back down their big rivals once again to get to the Super Bowl. I don't think we would want it any other way. And this storybook season has been a wild one to watch, but it has been, so very, very, very satisfying. Thank you, though, Devin. I appreciate you for that. Thank you for the double dip donation, and thank you for watching. If you can for me today, folks, hit that like button. We will probably start to put a bit of a wrap up on this one at this point, as we've got a long week of streaming in tow here. We've got the roundtable coming back at you tomorrow. Jesse is going to be wearing the hat. Yes, he is. He is going to be wearing the hat. We also have Wednesday. We'll be doing the Seahawks Syndicate, or not Wednesday. We're doing Wednesday the weekly roundup will be on Wednesday. We got Thursday B&B show and the Seahawks Syndicate there. We've got Behind Enemy Lines on Wednesday. That's also what I'm thinking of here with Jesse. So we got a lot of action here set up for you guys, including the Saturday game where I will be live streaming that play-by-play all the way through. Hope you guys can check that out with me here. I'm expecting we're going to have a great turnout, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If there's any final questions, go ahead and get them all posted on here into the chat. And then other than that, we will start to put a little bit of a button on this one. But thank you again, Devin. Appreciate you, man. Very kind of you. Very kind. Early line, Seahawks, 7.5 favorites, 46.5, the over-under. Man, Vegas has got some points being scored. Koken, facts, Brandon. When I went to my first Hawks game versus the Giants in MetLife, I left my phone at home. Leave it at home. There's one week where you want to be concentrating on what's going on in front of you. This is the week. You always got your phone. You can always go get your food. This is something where you're not always going to get a playoff game where you're going to be the number one seed. You're not going to have this opportunity every year to be in this kind of position with this kind of great team in front of you, to the chance to witness greatness, to celebrate greatness, to push greatness forward. That's the point of this and why I harp on it. Because I've been taught in my life through my many decades of being a Seahawks fan that we are, I don't know any other fan base that can do it like we can, but when we are engaged in the way we can be engaged, there is no other fan base that can have a tangible effect on the game like we can. It takes it all, though. It doesn't work at 70%. It doesn't work with half the crowd doing it. It takes everybody in there engaged in this way. Yeah, if one of the season ticket holders don't I don't like yelling. That's not my style. Okay, give yours to somebody who will. Let us create this environment, this raucous environment that's going to be necessary in the stadium for the next 2 weeks. This is why the last 3 times you've had the number one bye, you've gone to the Super Bowl. It's one of the big main reasons is the fan base was fully engaged in that stadium at that time. They knew what was at stake. They knew the sense of urgency. They knew how rare this opportunity and moment was for them. They had lived through it for years of bad football, of middle-of-the-road football to get there. You better believe that they enjoyed it that time. I know you guys will too. But we need everybody rolling. Everybody rolling. You do not leave there with your vocal cords. You do not go in there softly. You go in there like you're ready to run through a brick wall like these players will be. Supposed to be a pretty nice weather day there, Oli. Supposed to be pretty nice. Once in a life opportunity. You never know when next time they're going to be around with a number one bye like this. You never know when they're going to have a great team like this put together again in the future. Yeah, they're young and they're building this up right now, but we've seen this in the NFL. What goes up can quickly come down. What is awesome today can quickly turn into crap tomorrow. You got to savor what you have today when it's great. Part of the beauty of this sport, in my opinion. Jack Dong, best Seattle sports year ever. Seahawks playoffs, Mariners playoffs, Kraken playoffs. Yeah. I don't think we've ever had the Hawks and the Mariners in the playoffs at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think so. Mariners within an inch of getting into the World Series. Yeah. 100%. Easily so, too. John, I was at the playoff game against the Rams in Quest Field. When they had Marshall Faulk, I was yelling so loud, I caused like 10 people to leave. It's where I want those people that are a little soft and a little bit like, can't take loud noises, don't walk in the stadium this week. Come back next regular season. This will be the week not to be that way. You're walking in this, bring some earmuffs, bring some earplugs, and be ready to roll. There's an energy and a spirit you're going to feel from your fellow 12s. It's going to feel a little bit psychotic. It's going to feel a little bit unhinged. It's going to feel like, man, that might be a little too much. It's not too much. It's the proper amount. Embrace it this week. Embrace it this Saturday. Go crazy. Go wild. And if anybody gives you a look, they're the crazy ones. They're the ones out of pocket. Diego, I'm in Peru. It's my dream to scream with the 12s and lose my voice for the team. Go Hawks. Keep in mind this too. We got a worldwide audience. A worldwide 12s out there that exist like Diego down in Peru. Out in Australia, out in Germany, out in Britain, out in Ireland, out in Germany. You know, these folks that, would give a pinky to come be in the stadium and have a chance to be in this environment. It ain't just that it's a special thing for you locally or for within the Pacific Northwest from Alaska down to Idaho. It's for those that are worldwide who would love to have this opportunity to be in that place and to be in that environment and be part of it and to contribute in the way that you have an opportunity to contribute and you're helping your team. It isn't just a pie in the sky thing. Listen to player after player talk about the Seahawks environment. Listen to former players who've had to come into this environment and play when it's at its most raucous. They will all tell you true. I ain't lying to you. They'll tell it to you right, true. It is hellacious. It has an impact. There is an effect. And we're going to hammer that this week. You better believe it. All right. Looks like we got all the questions knocked out here for the most part. Bendersworth. Hello. 5 p.m. Saturday. Lock in. Well, you've been sub for a long time. We've had some lively Bronco fans over the past couple days. So the 12, yeah. The old AFC West rivalry is kind of heating up here slowly in the background. Just a little bit. A little bit. All right. We're going to wrap it up on that note. If you guys can do me a favor and smack dab that like button, I would really, really, really appreciate it. A big thank you as well. Just one more final shout out to the sponsor of the show, Sleep. Let's see how Brandon did this week on his picks with this game tonight. We had Jaylen Warren over 12.5 yards receiving. Did he pull that off? Bring up my stats here to take a look. 1 reception for 4 yards. So not a good job there. That Steeler offense was awful today. Higgins over 30.5 receiving yards. We were able to get over that with 39. And Marks over 9.5 receiving yards. He was not able to get 1 target. So my whole prediction of the backs getting targeted in this game was a bunkus one there. But you can still use my code NEST. It'll match you up to 100% of your first deposit, up to $100 on the Sleeper app when you use my code. There's also the freebie $20, no deposit needed. Just create a $20, just create a login. They'll put $20 into your account. So $120 from me to you through the Sleeper app. And you show some love to the channel at the same time. Terms and conditions do apply. Please see their site for details. I love Sleeper. You can get on basketball. You can get on football. You can pair them up together. You're still getting some weekly fantasy with football if you want. With the last of the playoffs here kind of set up, there's a lot of fun little picks you can get on. You got the 17% boost that I had here. They got a lot of nice little boosters they put in there for some of these picks as well. Please use the code today. Use Sleeper. There are some terms and conditions that do apply, like I say. And in the state of Washington, it can get a little bit tougher to utilize in the state right now because we're waiting for things to open up as far as the taxation of the stuff. But if you're on a casino in the state of Washington, you can use the app in full. And all right. Go Hawks, Brennan. Go Hawks, Space. Appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me here today. And not only today, but throughout this 3 days, we went long, man. Back to back. We had a couple 8-hour streams Saturday, Sunday, and coming back with you guys today on the wild card. I think we're definitely going to make this a a yearly experience here covering these playoffs and kind of expanding out, whether Seattle's in or out or where we may be at in those playoffs, kind of covering each of them. You guys seem to enjoy this quite a bit, and I had a lot of fun being able to cover these different teams and look at them a little closer and kind of chop it up with you guys, kind of turn things over a little bit and what we were seeing. Really appreciate you watching today. If you can for me, hit that like button as well. If you're not subbed up, it is free. Absolutely, positively free. Doesn't cost you a thing, but you subbing up helps channels out like me to a tremendous degree. So please do sub up today. It's very much appreciated. And hit that like button to push this channel out on other places and platforms. Got a load of shows coming up for you this week. Behind Enemy Lines, B&B Show, Seahawks Syndicate, Seahawks Weekly Roundup. Man, we're going to be locked and loaded in this week, so I hope you're going to be ready to ride with me. Hope you're juiced up for the Seahawks team to play at 5 o'clock on Saturday. Get the Niners on a short week. You can ask for more built-in advantages. Not saying that we needed it, but that this is something that's a part of this. You couldn't ask for more built-in advantages for the Seahawks team coming into this playoff game for where you get with the Niners. Instead of having to take on the Rams immediately or taking on a tougher task, 49ers aren't going to be easy. Not saying we're going to walk on them, but where they're at injury-wise is where they're at injury-wise. And they're coming in now on a short week and coming on a short week after having to travel out to Philadelphia. And this is going to make this a little bit even harder for them than it was already made harder for them. Your Seattle Seahawks are sitting in a grade A position to be able to go out there and make this Super Bowl run at this moment. It could, in a lot of ways, not be better suited. The wheels couldn't be greased up a little bit more. Doesn't guarantee you get in there, but it's a great position for your Seahawks team to be in. We're going to be rocking and rolling throughout the week here, talking Seahawks, talking about how we got to deal with this 49er team, a little bit of some prospect stuff as we start to get a little bit into the draft stuff here and there. But really we'll be concentrating on these playoff matchups and what we got to do as far as the keys to these games, what Seattle needs to be aware of from the Snyder team, and what it's going to take to go get these victories. So lock in, load in, be ready to ride with me throughout the course of this week, as I know you guys will be. I really thank you guys for watching today. We will be back here in less than 24 hours with the NFC West Roundtable, where our man Jesse is going to be wearing a Seahawks hat. You want to tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, NFC West Roundtable. It's a separate channel. We got our 49er fan Jesse paying up on his bet, and he's going to be wearing a hat that is as big as a Buick on the top of his head. I mean, that thing is like, he's going to have a beep, beep button when he wants to back up when he's wearing that hat. It's so big, and it's a big Seahawks hat. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's perfect. And he's going to be trying to tell you how the 49ers are going to beat the Seahawks at the same point as he's wearing that bloody hat. Oh, it's great. Couldn't be more perfect. Chef's kiss of a season. I can't believe it. It's like a daydream come true. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am. And we're going to go out there and we're going to get this win, and we're going to go make a Super Bowl run. I hope you are prepared. I hope you are ready. Hope you are locked in, like we need everybody locked in that stadium this Saturday. I will be back soon, less than 24 hours. But until then, I shouldn't have to remind you, as you got the number 1 seed in all of the land. But I will do so anyway. Please don't you ever forget. Don't you dare. Not this week. Go Hawks.